100. Holy moly. Great job! Yeah! This guy. Thank you! Wow! Hell yeah. Woo-hoo! Great job, man!
Now we got a crash. Car spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby! Come on! Oh my god, guys! Yes! Yes! Unbelievable! You guys are the best! Yes, 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 yes! Oh, what a year!
Hey everyone, and welcome to NWP tonight here on DannyBTalks. My name is Danny B. As you can see, I'm all up in my Tennessee orange. You know what this week is, Tennessee versus Alabama, but I'm ready for that. Here with my usual guys. We're here to talk about NASCAR, though. Eric Estep, Jasper, and Darian Gilliam. The Roval happened, and there's a lot to talk about after this one. Where do we even begin? Eric, you want to start us off here tonight?
Well, you're rocking your Tennessee Volunteer orange. I'm in my Houston Astros orange just to piss off all the Astros haters in the chat. But who's your daddy? Yordan Alvarez. I was actually there yesterday, so I'm extremely hyped. I've been riding that buzz all day long. It's almost gotten me through all this bad news from the world of NASCAR that we're going to get to a little later in the show. But let's start with the Roval, like you said, Danny. I think Christopher Bell, we should start with that positive. Walk-off win. Much like my boy Yordan Alvarez last time. I'm going to be insufferable now. I'm so sorry, y'all. Christopher Bell.
Let us be Alabama, and I'll be worse next week.
Christopher Bell getting the DeWalt colors back in victory lane for the first time since 2009. I mean, that's outstanding. Joe Gibbs Racing has struggled at the road courses all year. Bell has been the lone somewhat bright spot. He had like one or two top fives or top tens this year. He's been okay, but if not for those last two cautions, even he wouldn't have had a shot at this. But he played the strategy right when he got the convenient yellows, and he put on a heck of a show there, those final 4 or 5 restart laps, and got the win. So to go from, I guess he was 11th on the grid to 2nd effectively with this win. I mean, we're right back to talking about Christopher Bell as a championship contender. I think he legitimately is, and I think most of us here would agree. I know Jared agrees.
Yeah, I picked him. I'd said that on Sunday after the race when I went live. I was like, my championship pick is still alive, baby. So I'm not too surprised that he was able to advance. I'm just surprised how he advanced. And he ran probably what would you guys say? Maybe like 7th to 12th all day.
That was not a winning car.
At one point, I said in our chat, I'm going to be in the basement for picking Bell.
Well, but his crew and his crew chief especially bailed him out, made the right call with tires, and the cautions fell his way, and he didn't get taken out in the absolute melee bar fight that we called the finish. So, I mean, sometimes with this system, that's just how you got to get through. Sometimes you get through with pure domination like Kyle Larson did last year. Sometimes things go your way like it did for Bell so far this year. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised he's made it this far. I'm just surprised how it's happened.
Yeah, look, Bell's been, I mean, compared to the beginning of the season, we thought, oh my goodness, this is about to be a bad season for Christopher Bell. But then all of a sudden, begins to turn it around, gets inside the round of 16, on consistent points before his win at New Hampshire. And it's good to see, and oh my goodness. But I mean, like the way he did it though is very interesting. Certainly nothing against Christopher Bell. That's more on the sanctioning body and the drivers etiquette just being thrown out the window. But hey, I know David Bell was extremely happy though. So
I'd love to see him in our chat. I was gonna say I'd love to see him in our chat tonight and get his thoughts on this weekend.
So like, I went live, and within 15 minutes of me being live after the race, he's in my chat being like, this is a great race. I don't know what you're talking about the rest of it. And I'm just like, well, wow, I did not expect to see you in here this early.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much emotion on the pit box, too. Like, even Christopher Bell's, wife, all of a sudden, I mean, she was, like in tears, really. Like, yes, I mean, it came out of nowhere, man, basically, and hey, all thanks to the infamous Roval sign. So thank you.
I want to pose the question after Bell's win and, clutch performance to advance his way through the playoffs. He looked very strong in the opening round, had to do this to get on to the next one. Is this the guy for Joe Gibbs Racing moving forward? Is this who they should be looking to build a team around? Because much like my Tennessee Vols coaching situation over the last few years, the driver of 20 has been a hot mess ever since Tony Stewart left, in my opinion.
Yes,
No
yes.
offense, Mr. Kenseth, but we all know he was treated badly to get kicked out of there so early.
He was, but he was good when he was there.
But
This might finally be the guy to keep in there for the long term. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I mean, I did a video a few weeks ago talking about, hey, Toyota needs to rebuild. And, he was one of the guys I was like, look, just build around, this guy and obviously Ty Gibbs. I mean, it's debatable, it's like, who has the higher ceiling to, I mean, maybe you can give the slight edge to Ty Gibbs, but right now, Christopher Bell seems to be the guy that, they should build around, which is crazy because last year when he got the 20 ride, we were, expecting him to, like set the world on fire there. But then, he had one win, but like, he just wasn't as good as we had, initially thought he would be. But, he's turned it around though.
He's proved me wrong. I honestly questioned the move last year with it.
Because him and Eric Jones, they were very similar.
Yeah, and I thought that Eric Jones had something to build off of, and I still think that Jones is doing pretty well for himself with Petty GMS right now. But I would say that this is the right call for the 20 at the moment. I would say for the next probably 5 or so years, like he's that guy. He's that guy, pal. He's that guy. He's been the best performing Toyota driver so far this year.
That's true.
I believe, isn't he the only Toyota driver or with multiple wins, or is
Hamlin
he
is
one
too.
of? Well, I forgot Hamlin because he's been not performing as consistently.
And Toyota won on a freaking road course too. I just realized that. Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was Eric who was pointing out how bad Toyotas have been on road courses. But the reason I went with Christopher Bell and picked him as my pick last week was just because I remembered, he got his first win on the Daytona road course, which is arguably the closest track to this one, and I just felt like he had what it took to win his way into the next round.
Yeah, if any Toyota was going to win at a road course this year, Christopher Bell was the only one who had shown any signs of being a contender. I think he was third at COTA at the beginning of the year, and I know that race ended with some squirrely circumstances, but the rest of JGR is just so far off. To answer your question, Danny, yeah, he is absolutely a driver you can build around. I would say the exact same thing about Eric Jones if he was still in the 20, but going back to that decision a year or 2 years ago, it was a coin flip. Bell's about a year older, I think, maybe 2 years older. He's got more of a dirt racing background. Jones comes from late models, short tracks, asphalt short tracks and stuff. They're different sort of in their upbringing, but I think on the Cup Series stage, they both would flourish long-term in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. It just turns out Christopher Bell's the guy getting that chance.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he is that guy. I mean, if I were to compare him and Ty Gibbs right now in terms of, drivers to build around, obviously since Christopher Bell has, more Cup Series, more experience in the Cup Series, then yeah, I would give him the slight edge right now over Ty Gibbs. Because Ty Gibbs, I mean, he can be, a bit of a loose cannon sometimes. Christopher Bell is usually level-headed.
Why does it have to be one or the other, though? I mean, Gibbs has had a bit of a history of building around two drivers, whether it's Stewart and Labonte, or it's Hamlin and Kyle Busch, or and three drivers with Kyle Busch, Hamlin, and Kenseth, and then you add Truex into that mix after Kenseth is gone. So I feel like these are two drivers in general to build around. Now the question is, what do you do after Hamlin and Truex retire? They have half the puzzle done.
You can certainly build around two drivers.
At this point, I was just thinking about this. Christopher Bell is one of the last KBM notables that's going to make his way into the JGR program. It feels like what happens to a lot of these other guys in the TRD program is really unknown at this point, because who knows what they're going to do in Truck Series and even with Joe Gibbs and their Xfinity program, they've lost a few names now. You're going to probably promote Ty Gibbs. You're going to probably bring in Sammy Smith, but they've lost Brandon Jones. Who do they have next year?
Chandler Smith gone too.
Mm-hmm. Who all do they have now for the Xfinity Series besides Sammy Smith?
Heim, it sounds like, is going to do trucks next year with DGR if in fact Toyota is buying up David Gillen Racing. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Hey, for Toyota, just look at the late model scene, the local short track scene, start rebuilding.
I guess John Hunter makes sense. John Hunter would be someone good to put into another car.
He should be in the. I think at this point he's earned the right to be in the Xfinity series.
He might not have earned it, but Drew Dollar has the funding. I don't know.
He earned it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Is he even racing anymore? I thought he was just focusing on college.
Why did he miss that race? Was it literally just because he had a test to study for? I don't buy that.
Yeah, he was focusing on college. That's what one of the reports said.
But it was weird because Trevor Bayne was out there in his sponsored car, so I don't get it. What test could he have had to take? What was happening?
College costs so damn much now. Even NASCAR drivers can't afford it. Oops.
Meanwhile, William Byron wins a Xfinity championship with the school on his car.
They're big brain.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? We'll just pay you in your tuition. We'll call it even.
Did he get a scholarship to drive for Hendrick?
Hey guys, I'm Will. I'm here on scholarship.
They'll make one of those like Liberty University will make one of those welcome to Liberty University. This is William Byron, our only claim to fame at the moment.
Dang, I just realized this too. This is kind of sort of funny. I mean, so is William Byron the most recognizable athlete in the history of Liberty University?
Until Malik Willis makes it as the Titans quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. The only other football player I know from there is Rashard Jennings, former Giants running back. So,
I remember him. I got him on a fantasy team one year.
Yeah, and I visited that school before, and I was not a fan at all. Not a fan.
Veering off course here a little bit. My bad. That was on me.
See, this is what we start doing after the 10 o'clock hour, so I don't know what we're doing getting this early with it. So,
Bird gets the worm.
Debris yellow at the end for a sign. Right call or not?
Right call. But there should be an alternative to signs like this because this is like the third race this year that this has happened in. Mm-hmm. And like the first one was funny with the Sargento sign. Like there were a lot of
this one just fell off a wall, it looked like.
And there's a bunch of debate too on like when it fell off and like how long it was on the track for, because you have some drivers saying, "Oh, it was out of the racing line there for like 20 laps," and then you have you have like Slap Shoes saying like, "Oh no, I didn't see it. It had just fallen off." Inside.
Well, to be fair, Slap was at the race.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And he was like on the upper level, so he saw everything.
So there's two different stories going around.
Speaking really quick, Slap, just it's on my mind. Apparently, he got a speeding ticket leaving Talladega.
Oh my gosh.
Like in the county over from Talladega, he got nabbed. He said he was trying to go like 100 around a semi truck.
Gee, Slap.
I'm like, man, I don't even do that.
But really quick, back to the whole debris thing. I mean, like,
wait. Did he say this publicly, or did we just leak?
Yeah, he said it publicly.
Okay.
It was on Shrimp Hours.
But I saw a bunch of debates, on social media talking about, oh, they should have thrown the caution, they shouldn't have thrown the caution there, or whatever. But I guess in hindsight, look, it was a piece of debris on the track. It's a tough way for Chase Elliott to lose a race that way. But I'd say, it was technically the right call. So.
Yeah, I think it was right. They showed a clip of like someone who was in like the second group getting passed, almost ran over it with their left side tires. Mm-hmm. And I know a piece of cardboard's probably not going to ruin anyone's race, but it was the right call. But I agree with Jared. It's silly that the race sort of devolved due to a sign. But like that was the only caution for incident all day up to that point was a sign.
But I'm just going to say this. Chase Elliott was leading, so I'm not going to say that NASCAR did anything wrong. If this was anyone trying to say, they did this on purpose, Chase Elliott wouldn't have been the leader.
And also,
they did that with the Rainbow Race last year at the Daytona Road Course. So
when are fans going to realize that NASCAR doesn't favor Chase Elliott? We've seen this, so many times now, man.
But this one time, there was a race and a caution happened, and he got like 3 spots on pit road. Obviously, they're fixing it for him. Like, come on, guys, this is obvious.
But that led to the last couple of restarts and Christopher Bell and his team with the big brain move to go get tires.
Well, and it wasn't just him either. I mean, I looked on the finishing order, and Kyle Busch was third, Buescher in 6th.
He was the one who, benefited the most. Let's say that.
And Chase Briscoe was not going to advance. It didn't look like. And then he took tires on the first caution, or was it the second caution? I don't remember. And that's how he was able to just kind of drive through the field.
I think it was the first one. But hey, we're going to talk about it later. But hey, Chase Briscoe, Possible Cinderella story, maybe. You never know.
Or 7-9 Seahawks.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it sucks the fact that because of just such a dumb reason for a caution, like pretty much the entire field's day got ruined in one way or another. I mean, don't get me wrong, like it was not a good race leading up to it, in my opinion. Honestly, I thought it was boring.
That
was a boring
yeah,
race.
that was like, this race was like the most boring / chaotic race I've ever seen. Like it was boring for damn near all of it. Then all of a sudden, boom, like a bunch of dumb stuff happens, guys running into each other, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, like, I would like to say like, oh, I'm shocked. But as soon as that caution came out, I was like, yep, this race is about to devolve into.
See, I didn't get a chance to watch all of the race because I was driving back from a family wedding in Lexington, Kentucky. But I listened to most of it on the radio. It sounded pretty interesting, or at least interesting towards the end. But it seemed like I wasn't missing much by mainly listening to the Titans game on the radio. It felt like.
No, you weren't missing much, man. I mean, like, who won the first two stages? Was it Hamlin won stage 1 and then stage
have it
2?
somewhere.
Yeah. All I know is that Chase Elliott and his team nearly pulled off the perfect race-winning move, undercutting the 16 and the 8.
Logano and Chastain.
Okay. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is why the 9 team is a championship favorite, making moves like that, because they were like 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Tyler Reddick and AJ Allmendinger after that. But then once that caution came out, oh boy, it was over.
Hey, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the chat. Yes, Eric did upload, guys. Come on, he was busy watching an epic Astros game last night, and now he had to catch up on all his work today. It just went out. It's no big
problem
deal.
is
Open 2 tabs.
The problem is I have 2 videos planned for tomorrow. It's just been that kind of a week. But no, I thought it uploaded like 15 minutes ago, but be sure to save it. Watch after the podcast. It's not
Just open 2 tabs. Just open 2 tabs. There you go.
You have a computer. Everyone has a phone. You can do both.
There you go.
On the grind.
It's just that kind of week. Good God.
It is.
I'm gonna be out of town for a couple days, so I gotta keep tabs while I can.
But moving on from this one, I guess I saw, actually, this is a super chat kind of related. There was a guy named Coleslaw Custard said, tomorrow is my birthday. Thanks for the podcast. First of all, happy birthday. Your name, though, Cole Custer. Let's talk about the controversy from Cole Custer. What do we think?
I mean,
Well,
I think
we should establish first.
penalty.
I think we should establish first what happened.
Yeah.
So was it on the last lap or the second to last
The
lap?
last
He
lap.
Last lap.
Last lap, he basically brake checks, a good 50, 100 yards early going into the backstretch chicane, jacks up a couple cars. I don't remember who it was exactly.
Dylan.
Dylan and Eric Jones were behind him. They get jacked. Briscoe blows by 2 cars, including Custer.
He come through there so much faster compared to them.
Because Custer hit the brakes, and they had SMT data, I think, to show that he hit the brakes about 50 or 100 yards early. Or I think it was, who was it that tweeted? Maybe Kliger. Someone who had access tweeted that he hit the brakes 1 whole second earlier than anyone had all day long to let Briscoe by. And over the radio, his crew chief in that moment was saying, hey, you have a flat tire. I think you have a flat. Back it down. Check up. And so pretty clearly the team, knowing that Briscoe, their teammate, needed a couple points or was on the cut line, was very close. They wanted to give him as many points as possible. Briscoe, according to NASCAR, was already tied with Larson for the transfer spot, and he had the tiebreaker. So he didn't pass Larson, thanks to Custer, but he padded his lead a little bit, and then NASCAR hit him with the massive penalty.
I want to like specifically hone in on he was already in, but it's like you said, Jones was there. And it wasn't a guarantee whatsoever that he was going to stay in. Like, I don't get why. Well, because he was in, that's why we didn't suspend him. I don't believe they were going to suspend him. That's just the reason they gave. But I mean, I think a penalty was warranted for it after I saw it. Because like when I first saw it, at first I'm like, I'll wait and see. I want to see something before I say it was that. But a 50-point penalty when it's like. This is comparable to what Ty Gibbs did on pit road at Texas. Like this is the hill to die on compared to, like, I don't know if the penalty matches it that much. I'll say that, but it's just the whole thing to me is just plainly pretty stupid, honestly. I think the whole situation is stupid.
Not to get off topic of this, but it's kind of going back to the topic. The legend himself, David Bell, has entered the chat, everybody.
Hey, congrats on
Congrats
the victory,
on your
sir.
son's victory. And David, stick around. Wait till you hear the podcast pick points later and what your son helped me accomplish. So we'll get to that part later.
Sure, he's just waiting with bated breath.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, definitely. But
But-
David, appreciate that $10. We'll get back to the super chats a little bit later.
But yeah, I mean, at first I thought a penalty was warranted, but then I had completely forgotten that just a season ago, Chase Elliott sort of did something similar at Bristol. Then you had this was in the regular season, but the 42 helped out the one last season and what might turn out to be
And-
one of Kurt Busch's final wins.
And
So-
Eric Jones helped out Denny
Yeah.
Hamlin in 2020 the exact same kind of way.
So there's a difference. I think what NASCAR's trying to do is differentiate between drivers in the moment, just taking things upon themselves and going out and doing whatever they're going to do. Because that's what Chase Elliott did. He did radio his crew, where's Larson? I'm going to help him out or whatever. But there was no order from someone at Hendrick telling Chase Elliott to do that. Chase Elliott just took it upon himself to do it. Same thing with the Ross Chastain blocking for his teammate Kurt Busch last year. Nobody, at least according to any record I could find, told Chastain to do that. He just took it upon himself behind the wheel to do it himself. In the case of Eric Jones, though, don't pass him, Jones. That was a direct order from a spotter or crew chief. If the fact that was not penalized, that was at the end of 2020, and Custer was penalized, that's where the disconnect dies. That's where the consistency dies. And that's why I think it's bad.
And really, they've set themselves up for failure once again.
This completely opens them up to, as long as it's not on the record.
Yeah.
This happens at Phoenix. What's NASCAR going to do then?
No, like
if it's an egregious move, let's say Blaney misses it, Logano's falling behind, I don't know, Byron at the end per se, and Blaney all of a sudden holds up Byron and costs him a championship. It is clear as day what he's doing, but he didn't say anything on the radio. The crew chief didn't say anything. The owner didn't say anything. So because it was off the record, manipulating a finish is okay in this instance. That's the precedent NASCAR is putting out. Rodney Childers said the same thing.
Yeah, there's no reason to penalize guys for it as long as they just, talk about it before the race, just plan stuff out. It's like, hey, help us out here and whatever. So just don't say nothing on the radio and you might be okay.
Yeah.
Now-
I think ultimately they want to prevent another 2013 Michael Waltrip Racing debacle.
Yeah.
And I think the 100% rule that as it's written now is just way too vague, way too unclear, and it opens itself up to scrutiny because if you don't admit it over the radio what you're doing, NASCAR, there's no precedent. They're going to let it go. They're going to let it slide. I think there's no faith. There's no faith in NASCAR officiating right now because even when they get a call right, like I think they did in the William Byron case, it gets overturned by an appeals panel. So whether the rule book is screwed up and is not specific enough, or NASCAR themselves is just misguided and all this, something needs to change, but I don't know what needs to change because I'm also not really anti-team orders, broadly speaking. You have to draw a line between what you're talking about, Jarrett, someone just intentionally holding up the leader in an important race to let their teammate win versus, it's lap. Like what did Kyle Busch do in a truck race? He let, I think it was John Nemechek go by to win a stage because he's like, oh, he could use the playoff point. I don't need it. Like that's, if you hate team orders, you hate that, but that doesn't really bother me. But your hypothetical, Jarrett, of Brian Blaney holding up the leader so that Logano can win the championship, that does bother me. So how do you put that into writing and how do you consistently officiate that? NASCAR has failed to do both up to this point, and that's why I think SHR is mad at this penalty, and that's why fans are just confused. Why did they throw the book at Custer, but Eric Jones 2 years ago got nothing? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
See,
Well, I think Ben says it right in the chat. The NASCAR is losing control. They're losing control in general of everything around there. Say what you want about Brian France, the man ruled with an iron grip.
That is the Christopher Bell thing is a better example. What a lot of people keep it going back to is the Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott thing at Bristol last year. My thoughts on that one, looking back at that, I don't think Chase Elliott cared that Kyle Larson was the car that was in second behind Harvick. He was pissed in that moment and wasn't going to let Harvick win. He didn't care who was second.
But here's the point. That's your opinion. You don't know that for sure. None of us know exactly what Chase Elliott was thinking in that moment. So, and neither does NASCAR. So how do you write a rule that accounts for that? Because right now NASCAR's rule is if you don't say something hella incriminating over the radio, we're not going to do anything about it. That's too open-ended. You need to come up with some sort of specific rule. You need to find a way to put it into writing so that you can officiate it in a more black and white way. They don't have that right now. It's a very vague rule that just says if you don't race at 100%, well, guess what? Some people, early in the race, you might let someone go because, oh, my car's not handling great. Oh, he's not going at 100%. It's all up to interpretation. That's not what they mean, obviously, but the more specific they can get in writing up these rules, I think the better it will be for them. But you run the risk of having like a 1,000,000-page long rule book to account for all these variables, and I don't think they want that either.
Fans aren't going to like this, but one option is just if you're pissed at someone, handle it after the race. Don't do anything on the track.
You just
fans aren't going to like that, but it stops the manipulation from happening.
Look,
tighten everything up. That's one option. Sure.
At the end of the day, I think the main reason why all this stuff keeps happening is because of the format we're in. It's just a bunch of dumb stuff like this just keeps happening over and over and over again because of this playoff system at the end of the day.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the comment here in the chat from some to Dan, but who really gives a F about Custer?
Dang. Our
fun.
chat when it gets to who's gonna suck this week. That's like one of their go-tos.
Yeah, but I mean, you can just. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, forget the Kyle Petty T-shirt. Let's slap that up on a T-shirt.
But dude, it just all goes back to me, just this format we currently have and stuff. I mean, say what you will about like the season-long points format and like yada yada yada. Yeah, sometimes a guy would clinch a championship before the last race of the season. Boo-hoo and all that stuff. But I mean, at least there wasn't this much manipulating, of the races back in that era.
Well, for me, it's just that it's like every other year there's something dumb like this. It constantly keeps happening. We talked about the last 3 years, but we can look back, to some of the shenanigans in 2014 with the Newman and Larson. That's borderline, but I wouldn't say that's awful. Hi to Darian's mom. I'm like, are we going to ignore this? Whatever. For those listening, Darian's mom is there. About 2015.
She unpacking? Nice.
But 2015, this stuff with Kenseth and Logano, yeah, it might have been fun in the moment, but when you look at the long-term ramifications of what it's basically set the groundwork for, like
Harvick at Talladega that year.
Talladega, 2015. I mean, it's like there has to be a point where NASCAR just either puts their foot down or says something needs to change because fans aren't reacting the way that they want fans to react to this. Like, yeah, it's cool in the moment, but those are just moments spread out over 10 weeks when that defines that 10-week area of the playoffs. Like, what's really the point? Like, what do you remember more from 2015, honestly, if you could think back? Do you remember Kenseth taking out Logano, Harvick at Talladega, or do you remember Kyle Busch winning the championship? And yeah,
Kyle Busch won the championship?
Thing.
Whoa, what? I forgot about that. You're right.
But if you ask, I know we're joking, but if you ask a lot of people, they're going to talk about crazy moments more than the champion.
Yeah,
probably true. Yep.
And that's the sad state of it. Is like if we want to hold the championship to such a high level, it can't keep getting overshadowed by races and a lot of points that don't even matter in the grand scheme of things of how it ends out.
And one thing too, I want to point out. Look, like this is like NASCAR fans shitting on NASCAR is nothing new, but we're starting to like reach a different level that I haven't seen before. Like it's to a point where like some diehard fans I've seen, on social media that I talked to for a while and stuff, they have literally said like, I think I'm done watching it. Like I'm done watching this year's playoffs because of all the BS that's happened. And you know what? Like that's NASCAR's fault. I mean, from the safety stuff to the tire fiascos to the BS penalties to the BS appeals and stuff. Those have been bigger storylines than the actual playoffs. I mean, I thought the playoffs were supposed to, gain more interest in the sport, but it seems to be, the last thing on people's minds, unfortunately. But, hey, NASCAR set it up that way. So, oh, well.
I don't blame SHR. They were put in that position by the system we have. I think we can all agree the system puts drivers and teams in those positions.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them for going for it because if it's something like this where your irrelevant car gets penalized, but you still make it to the next round no matter what. what'd you lose, really?
Yeah, at the end of the day, too, like, I mean, yeah, we can talk about, Cole Custer, did he deserve it? Did he not deserve it? At the end of the day, it's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, too, like, the 14 still makes it into the round of 8. So at Sorehaus Racing wins. It don't matter. They won.
Initially, when William Byron got his penalty overturned, people thought, well, Briscoe's screwed, ain't he? But he ended up making
That's right.
No, I'll tell you who got screwed out of it, too. Now, this was sort of his own doing, too, but...
Oh, it was totally his own doing. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I saw some fans talking about it, like, Kyle Larson, unfortunately. And if you've seen my championship hangover video, too, you'll know as well.
If you guys know the Thanos meme, did Byron make it into playoffs? Yes. What did you lose? Larson.
Yep, you're defending champion, too. And I don't know. But as far as the Cole Custer stuff, like, that's all I have to say about that. I mean, it's just irrelevant penalty. You can debate all day if they deserved it or not. I don't think they did, just based off, the past and stuff. You didn't penalize Chase Elliott last year. You didn't penalize Ross Chastain. But I guess NASCAR's by NASCAR's logic, just don't say anything over the radio and you'll be okay.
I think it was in a Twitter thread somewhere, and I don't remember. It was just a fan on Twitter made a comment. I'm not going to remember the comments. Never mind. Move on. But if it comes back to me, it was actually kind of interesting. I think it summarizes the playoffs pretty well.
It sucks because it's like, I see, like, you see where NASCAR is going with it. Like you'd have to be willfully ignorant to say you don't understand why NASCAR has the playoffs. Like, even though I don't like it, I understand why they're there. I understand, but it gets to the point where the problems with it overshadow any of the good things that come with it. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard for people that come in to really, like, I think, understand who's exactly good or great in a season when this kind of stuff is what NASCAR will promote with it. Because like the contact, I guarantee that'll be like a clip next year in the Roval promotion. Like, NASCAR will use the things that they know with penalties as things to put in their commercials. I think Texas next year, you're going to see probably a clip of William Byron moving Denny Hamlin out of the way. You're going to see, clips of you see all the time the Matt Kenseth clip of Joey Logano, and they claim that they don't like that. That's a bad thing.
Just this whole season's just been weird. I feel like at this point, I'm watching more for the enjoyment of the races themselves and seeing if we can beat that win record at this point, because I think it's been so cool to see the different winners, but I feel like that's the biggest highlight of this season. And we've got two drivers that have just big what ifs to their seasons, because we got Kurt Busch unfortunately lost a chance to go for what could be a final chance at a championship. We'll see about his announcement coming up this weekend. And then Alex Bowman had a decent start to the season, was picking it up in the playoffs, and there's that big what if because of, unfortunate, realities of this car. So there's so much things that are with this season. It's just like a big asterisk to this whole season.
It's kind of like the reverse 2018. Remember 2018 was awful the first half, and then it's like they had a defining moment and everything else was really good, except for the Talladega race, the last half of the season. And it's like this year, I feel like the first 20 to 22 weeks were honestly some of the most fun I've had as a fan watching.
This was best season ever material.
It really was. And then it's like the Kurt Busch incident happened and the entire complexion of the season changed.
Yeah, that same weekend was disqualifications. That's when, and then I think Jones and Dillon got penalized. That was the start of just an avalanche of penalties, injuries, and then just bad racing. Then you can also circle the rain caution at a Daytona taking out the whole field. That was when you realize, oh shit, we are in it now. This is not going well.
I will still say, in the moment, I still remember the chaos of Eric sending in the chat that Denny and Kyle Busch were disqualified at Pocono, and me telling everyone while we was eating dinner how funny that was.
But it's like it's just the whole season. Just that's like that one moment. Everything. It's like been an avalanche since then.
Yeah.
Even on top of that, you have the stuff outside the sport with the teams versus NASCAR and the racing.
There's a ton. There's a lot kind of hitting all at once, and it's just tough. They're not getting a break any week, any day, and it's a lot of it is ultimately. I mean, I guess it's ultimately on NASCAR. They design these cars, they set the schedules, they set the playoff format, and I agree. The playoff format forces drivers to make more desperate moves, I think, more frequently. It gives them more opportunities because there's actual eliminations and the points are naturally tighter together. There's a lot. There's a lot that all ultimately rests on NASCAR's shoulders, and I just think they have their work cut out for them to try and rein it all in. I hate to sit and just kind of just lament about the last 6-7 weeks or so, because the first 25 were great, and we do still have, I think the next 2 weeks are going to be really good, at least as far as the racing is concerned. There's a lot to be excited about, and I feel I think on this show we like to try and be constructive. We like to have at least ideas, but I don't think anyone really has any great ideas to fix it.
I'll give one, and I won't say full season format. I promise.
Okay, well, but you could. That's an option. I think that is an option at this point. Yeah.
If I had my choice, that would be my option. But if you're gonna keep going with the playoffs, NASCAR's got to own what the playoffs create. If you're gonna own having this system, and this is the system, this is the hill you're gonna die on, you've got to own teams screwing with each other back and forth. You got to own drivers intentionally crashing each other because they're angry under caution or something. You have to own this stuff. It's not what I as a racing fan like, but if this is the identity you want to build around, you have to own what this format creates. The problem is the parameters can change at any point depending on what NASCAR does. I mean, they've had this format for 7 years now. Mm-hmm. If you don't count the 2014 through 2016 crap, because I think we all agree that was probably the worst of the ones. That's what they got to do. They either got to double down or they got to figure out a way to rein it all back in.
I just hate the word chaos. I hate that word. I'm just gonna say that. I think that word is overused, and I think if we're gonna boil down to a good NASCAR race is a chaotic NASCAR race, we're screwed. Yeah. I think that's what it's gonna come down to.
You might as well be a demolition derby at this point, the way some of them have gone. And don't get me wrong, I think having one chaotic race a year.
I think chaotic moments are fine. Like in the first Roval race when Keselowski let him off the cliff. If that doesn't happen every week, once in a while it's whoa, okay, that's good, but it's happening every week, it feels like, especially since Daytona, the rain at Daytona.
Yeah, look around 2012 or so, that year, for instance. If you look back, I've went back because I like rewatching different seasons over the offseason. I rewatched that one last year, and the racing, honest to God, really wasn't that good. People remember one chaotic moment, and there really was only one big ultra chaotic moment that year, and that was the finish of the Talladega race. But there wasn't something like that every single week. There were this year we can probably you can list on two hands probably how many races have had it where either the field dives down and everybody is wrecked, or something stupid happens with an officiating call. That's where you start just jumping the shark on it, in my opinion. You can have one of them a year or two of them even, but it's 6 or 7.
And the saddest part about this whole deal is that we have a younger generation of fans right now who are watching the sport, that are growing up with it like we did in the early 2000s, that think chaotic races are, good races.
I don't agree with that completely.
Yeah,
I don't agree because we just don't have that many young fans watching.
Well, that too. But
the few.
But I don't necessarily agree with it, because it's you see a lot of younger fans who also will say the contrary. It's we might see a little snippet from a poll we do, or a poll that Jeff Gluck does, or comments on Twitter, but that's just one person or a couple thousand people. That doesn't cover the millions that watch NASCAR every week, including probably 6 digits worth of people. I'm not going to say millions, but 6 digits worth of people that are in the key demo on down. I just think that I feel like NASCAR is at the point where they think they've got this, they've owned this for so long, they've went down this rabbit hole, and I almost think it's like, okay, did you guys see the new Top Gun movie? I'll use an analogy on this.
Sure.
When the two jets are going down, and they're pull up, one of you pull up, and finally somebody loses and pulls up, playing chicken against each other. I feel like that's almost like NASCAR with some of the rules that they've made. Some of them, they can see the cat has gotten out of the bag in a lot of ways, but it's you've gone so far you can't turn back at that point. And I feel like that's what we've kind of hit.
I love that I get a notification. I'd say I hate the word chaos. Our boy Real Radman, who's been on the show before, just posted a video a couple hours ago. The chaotic mess is back, and it's some NASCAR career thing. We're like, God, it's just, and I don't, that's fine.
It's a buzzword now.
I'm sure his video is good and everything, but yeah, it's like chaotic mess. Yeah, that is how I would describe most of the last 7 weeks. And the end of the Roval race, I think, fits that bill perfectly. So I think the penalty was correct for Custer per the rule book. It's just frustrating that this is the first time it's been enforced in years. That's the part that's not fair. So I don't know. We'll move on. I feel like we spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, let's move on. We talked about Larson being eliminated, but Daniel Suarez, who basically literally fought his car all day, has had to go through all that and then out of the playoffs, unfortunately. What do we think about Suarez's season overall? Like, definitely his best of his career?
Well, first off, it's another case of crappy ass parts. But yeah, secondly, yes. Yeah, definitely the best season. You know, he needed a season like this, you know, to prove his worth in the sport. I mean, he's been in the Cup Series since 2017 and, you know, finally gets that first career win. And he would have advanced, you know, no problem if he didn't have the power steering problems. But
so are we going to bring up the fact that NBC multiple times played him like laying down an F-bomb because they thought he was screaming?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I only heard one that slipped. So I didn't know if he did it multiple times.
Yeah, they played the audio, I think, like post-race as well. They played it twice, I remember hearing, and I'm just like, wait a minute. That's another F-bomb that he just dropped and got away with. Had a boy. I felt bad for him, though.
The perks of a slight accent, I guess.
Yeah.
You're so used to either people from Cali or Southern accents, so they're not as attuned yet.
So the way Suarez missed the round of 8, you know, was definitely not of his own doing. But as for Larson, it was pretty much 50-50 there. 50% on him for hitting the wall, which he didn't need to push anything. All he had to do was just, you know, go the rest of the way. He would have been fine. But then the other 50%, because the caution came out, you know, gave the field a chance to gather up together and stuff. And, you know, in the end, Briscoe edges them out by 2 points. But yeah, you know, I had some people in my comments on my last upload, the championship hangover, that were like, oh, this wasn't a hangover season. It was still good. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's still, a good season and a season that most drivers would love to have. But by Larson's standards, even he would tell you that he was off this year, because when you look at his 2 wins, I mean, the first one at Fontana, like, you know, happened because he roughed up his teammate there. You know, like, and then the second one,
I like it.
But then the second one, like, did he also rough up his teammate? Oh, wow. So yeah, both of his wins, he roughed up his teammate. Yeah. So I mean,
you're gonna go there. Wow.
Look, but here's the thing, though. I mean, like, during the offseason, you know, we were hyping up Larson so much, and especially his fan base, like, oh yeah, the next gen car is gonna promote driver talent, and you're gonna see Larson's gonna take over. When in reality, everyone's on an even playing field now.
Larson won the second race, and then he won Watkins Glen. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, he looked well on his way to winning at Charlotte in the 600 too. Briscoe didn't Leroy Jenkins it for the second time in a month.
He had a bunch of stuff happen in that race. But I guess, you know, the point is that, yeah, you know, technically it's still a good season for any other driver. But, like, you know, when Larson, you know, he was coming off of a 10-win season, a championship. Now, obviously, he wasn't going to duplicate that. He's not freaking 1990s Jeff Gordon here. But I don't know. I don't think he is who, you know, his fans thought he was, you know, like, as soon as he, went to Hendrick Motorsports, I think some of his fans were like, oh yeah, this is going to be, you know, I know why he's laughing. This is going to be, a Kyle Larson dynasty here. He's going to win so many races. Hell, even I thought that for a moment too. But then, as we've seen with the next gen car, we're on an even playing field. And now, you know, he's not the only talented guy in the Cup Series, obviously. So we'll see if he can improve next year. If, you know, Hendrick Motorsports can become a little bit more dominant. But, you know, he's not the number one guy anymore. Sorry.
Last year, he didn't have to worry. He didn't have to worry about Trackhouse. He didn't have to worry about Petty GMS last year. He didn't have to worry about 2311 Racing. Didn't have to worry about Richard Childress Racing last year. There's just, exactly, it's a more even playing field. He does not have the best car in the field or a top 3 or top 4 car in the field every week like he did last year. That's not to take away from what he did last year, but it is the truth, like you said. And I'm looking at his finishes this round. 9th at Texas, 18th at Talladega, and 35th at the Roval. Again, that was on him. He hit the wall pushing too hard.
That'll do it.
If you have, 7-8 wins like you did this time last year, you can get away with all of those mistakes. But when you only have 2 wins this year, he's not going to get away with it. So,
but also too, oh, I'm sorry, just one final point. Cliff Daniels, in my opinion, doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, for the 2021 championship. I think he had a lot of notes, from working with guys like Jimmy Johnson and Alex Bowman over the years. And, he definitely put it to use in the final season of the Gen 6 era. But then, we're in a new era and, he can't help out as much.
Well, I don't think he had, granted, compared to 21, I don't think he had that, he didn't
it's
have
still a good
year,
season. It's still a good season.
This isn't out of the ordinary for Kyle Larson, like pre-2021. I mean, he's one of the 7 guys with 2 wins. His 11 top 5s are only bested by Chase Elliott's 12. His 16 top 10s are only below Elliott, Bell, and Chastain. It's like he did not have a bad season. Like
No.
I think where he had the most problems is where everyone this season has had the most problems. Nobody can lead a ton of laps this year. Like, he's only led 367 laps compared to last year. He led over 2,000. And I think that's just the evening out. But I think over time, that's just going to – I think you're going to see that gap grow again. Like, it's just the better teams will always get better. So I don't think this is some, bad omen for the next season. He's always had problems in this round. He's always had problems with Talladega. So I'm not surprised. I am a little bit because I picked him for my Final Four. He's my only one out so far. But I don't think it's as bad of a season as people are claiming it is. You could argue he's had probably the 3rd or 4th best season out of anyone in the field this year.
Yeah, no, like I said earlier, I mean, again, most drivers would kill to have that season. It's just when you compare it to last season, a championship season like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're not gonna. It's impossible for anybody, to duplicate that type of success. I mean, still a good season on paper, but then when you add more context into it and stuff, I mean, I don't think anybody had him out of the round of 12. I don't think a single person did. No way.
I think at least the 4 of us didn't. But
No.
like Jared said, he struggled in this round in the past. Dega's not a good track for him. Roval's kind of a wild card. And honestly, Texas is a wild card. So,
But that's the thing with this. We can't go off too much of past year success because each year has different factors going into it. It's just like any other sport. I mean, this weekend, all I've heard from just getting kind of related. All I've heard this week from Alabama fans that, well, we beat you guys for the last 15 years, so yeah, you're going to lose.
So it's going there.
But it's the same thing here. We can't go just because he won 10 races last year. He should have done it this year.
Yeah, I'm sure next season Larson will be back to a championship form. I think. Will he have the season like 2021? Probably not.
That
comes once in a blue. Yeah, that's a once in a blue moon type deal. Like, do I see him, winning multiple races and being a championship threat next year? Of course, it's Hendrick Motorsports, and he's still Kyle Larson at the end of the day. Still one of the most talented guys. Just hey, this year it wasn't his year.
He'll be back next year, so.
Or he'll be completely jinxed. Who knows? We'll see.
So
I feel like everyone said that in early 2020. Larson will be good this year.
So
unforeseen circumstances.
iRacing.
We spent all that time talking mainly about Kyle Larson. I just want to say, to Daniel Suarez's credit, I wouldn't be disappointed in the way this season went. Finally got that hurdle of getting the first win. Made it to the round of 12, but between the 2 Trackhouse cars based on the seasons both men had, I think lots of people would say Ross Chastain was always the more likely one to make the round of 8 based on the consistency they had more this season compared to the 99. So they got one car still in it to win it.
Yeah, this was a good season for Suarez, compared to the other ones. But next year is going to be very important. Why? Because he only signed a 1-year extension. So depending on how he performs next year will depend on, where the rest of his Cup Series career will go from here.
All right, well, moving on from that one, let's talk about just the opening part of this race, and we won't spend a lot of time on this because I feel like there's one more bigger story before we get into the playoff talk. Virtually no passing in the opening 95% of this race. Now, I told you guys I didn't get a chance to watch the start of this one or really listen to it, so I'll let you guys kind of take over on this kind of subject.
Yeah,
there just wasn't.
There's not much
strung out.
Yeah, not much.
I come away from it saying they cannot, and I preface this a lot, but it's like NASCAR's got a lot to worry about. Safeties at the top, TV deals up there. There's a lot they have to worry about. But this needs to be up there as well. You cannot roll into short tracks and road courses next year without some sort of modification to this rules package. I don't know what it is. I've seen some people saying the best thing they could do is make the wheels narrower. The wheels now are wider than they were last year. But that sounds like an extremely expensive and somewhat impractical change to be made in time for next season. So beyond that, you take the rear diffuser off, run that. Can you add horsepower? Some people I saw, I don't remember who it was, but a few people were seem to believe that you can't really add any more horsepower, or else the rest of the car is going to start to fall apart, because they tested
I think Bob
this car.
Hockris said that. He had
It might have
said
been
something
Bob.
about
Yeah, I think it was probably Bob. He might have been quoting someone.
The current parts, like, they can't withstand the more horsepower.
I think he was quoting someone on that. So so that may not be a solution. So ultimately, they cannot bring this exact same rules package to the short tracks and road courses. Matt Weaver, I know it was, made the comparison or made the point that if they hype up North Wilkesboro as this big return to our roots, this huge deal, and it goes out in races like Martinsville did in the spring, or like the Roval did this weekend, that's gonna be a huge disappointment. So they got to change something. Anything.
I think like, you can't, obviously, like they quoted, you can't do more horsepower at the moment, but I think might be, I think this is a short-term problem, because NASCAR is in the process of getting a new engine designed and everything, an engine that actually gets up to like 650, 670, instead of an engine that should be 900, 950 being neutered down to a 670 or a 550. So I think not all of it, but I think a lot of it has to do with, with the throttle input. I think that might be one of the things that can change it, because a lot of throttle input off the corners at short tracks and road courses might be able to help more. But in the short term, maybe that, like they had talked about, taking the diffuser off, maybe that can work, doing different things to stop the dirty airflow. It feels like we're honestly still in the 550 package with road courses and short tracks. It's virtually the same kind of racing. Like if you compare 2019 Martinsville to this spring's Martinsville, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah. No, they got to change something, and it's just what is practical. Is it as easy as just take off the rear diffuser? Because that's something you can just do. That's not an extra expense. It's actually make it cheaper for the teams.
I think they did test. Yeah, I think they did.
They tested it at Martinsville, and I think they found it had very minimal effects. But
I'll take minimal. I'll take minimal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the next subject here. So Chase Elliott had a NASCAR and NBC camera person come up to him, and he kind of gently said, hey man, I don't want you to film this conversation. Could you back up? He backed up like 5 feet, and then he started coming after him. He's like, now listen here, Sonny, I told you once already. But and then
were you there, Danny? Is that what he said? Is that the voice?
That's what I heard. That's what I read.
Yeah, interpreted.
But then Devontae Adams said, hold my beer.
And he got charged today too. Hey, I'll start off here. Look, I've seen some fans, saying like, well, first off, there are some fans, comparing it to other drivers. Like, oh, can you imagine if Kyle Busch or Bubba Wallace did that? I'm like, Chase Elliott got criticized. Heavily criticized. I had posted the video of the altercation on my Twitter account, and I saw a lot of criticism for Chase Elliott, which I was kind of taken aback by. I'd say about 75% of it was being critical of him. Then the other 25% was, yeah, leave him alone. But here's the thing. In my opinion, I get where Chase Elliott's coming from. He was dominating the final stage of the race, and then all of a sudden the caution comes out, and then all of a sudden everybody forgets how to race properly. He gets taken out. And so I understand his frustration. On the other side of that, though, that cameraman has a job to do. He's not just going up there, filming just for the hell of it. He has a freaking producer telling him, hey, go, I see Chase Elliott and Byron talking. Go film them really quick, okay? So, I get where Chase Elliott is coming from to an extent, but, for fans to say, oh, yeah, well, the cameraman should leave him alone. This is a private conversation. At that point, you're on pit road. That you are the most popular driver. You're talking to arguably one of the other, young popular drivers in the sport, his teammate William Byron, and you have other media people, beside him, Davey Siegel and Claire B. Lang from SiriusXM, who are about to interview him, by the way. That cameraman is simply doing his job. So I it is kind of cool to see Chase Elliott, have that, fiery personality, because for years you were like, oh, he's so bland, he's so, cardboard, he's so boring and stuff. So, I'm happy to see him, kind of get a little fiery there. Like, oh, okay. So he does have some, some personality. That's good to see. But, I'd say, 50% on Elliott, and then maybe another 50% on, the camera guy to an extent. I'm not sure.
I look at this a few ways. That part of pit road, I've been media for a few races now, and that area of pit road is pretty much like it's supposed to be off limits for like independent media people. At that point, they'll bring the drivers over there to them. But from my understanding, the NBC camera people have basically free reign to be out there, from what I understand on it. So really, that's all within that cameraman's guidelines. If I was up there with a camera in his face, yeah, he could ask me to not be there. NASCAR could ask me don't be there, because that's not the way that I should be doing that. But for him working for NBC, that's actually within their guidelines from what I understand. NASCAR drivers and teams, they can ask you not to film something, and it's usually polite to just oblige. When I was media at Bristol a few weeks ago, there was a situation where the 48 car was at a race. I was just going to take a quick picture of the car, but the PR rep for Alex Bowman, he saw me take a picture. He said, "Hey man, he said, give me this look over here. Like, don't do that. It's like, okay, no big deal." And I actually just moved on, didn't take any picture, and went on with the rest of the race. So in a way, I can get it where the teams are like, hey, I'm just asking nicely, and he still did it, but also at that part of the track, it's kind of greenlit for NBC to film any and everything that's happening there. If you want the privacy, you need to go get the privacy.
Yeah, go in the hauler if you want to have a private conversation.
It's not the media's job to cater to everything the drivers want to do. Like, and you guys said he's in public, find a private place to talk, similar to the Elliott Harvick deal last year. They went to the hauler. So I don't see, one, I get why he's mad. Like, Elliott really did get screwed by a sign being on the track, and then all hell broke loose. Like, I don't blame him for being pissed. I like it. I like seeing him animated. I loved it this year at Nashville. He wins the race, and he's literally like, we shouldn't be at this track. It sucks. We should be at the fairgrounds instead. Yeah. It's a better track in the area. And I'm like, holy Jesus, where's this guy been all this time?
It's getting awesome. Upgrades. It's getting upgrades, y'all.
And
that's
so,
what it looks like.
But at the same time, like the cameraman has a job to do, like we said. I feel like we're spinning in circles here, but he has a job to do, like we said. And media has no obligation to the driver to do whatever they tell them to do. Like their obligation is to get the best product out to people watching at home. And honestly, the cameraman got the best possible product he could. A driver getting animated.
And got it, yeah.
Yep, that's a good point. No, Elliott was in the wrong. I like the emotion, but no, the camera guy is allowed to do that. I don't have anything else to add.
He just got him, chasing after him to chasing. He got chasing. I don't know. He didn't get Chase Elliott winding up for a swing or something like that on him.
And honestly, the camera guy he was pretty cool about it, because he backed up. He didn't have to back up in that situation. He could have just held his ground, and it was only like 5 or 10 feet there. But then all of a sudden then Chase Elliott goes out of his way. So at that point, that's on Chase Elliott at that point.
I feel like the collective thought is we can understand everyone's points in this whole situation.
Yeah.
It's silly that it's a controversy. Like it's fun to talk about, but people, it's just Chase Elliott. There's the people who love Chase Elliott will defend him no matter what he does. People who hate Chase Elliott will look for any little thing to call him out on. Yeah, he was wrong for this, but it's not the end of the world. It's like the camera guy probably didn't even remember at this point. Probably forgot it happened.
And honestly, it's very mild compared to the Devontae Adams fiasco.
Now, the only question I got is NBC going to milk this rivalry like they do with every other kind of rivalry?
Chase Elliott versus the media, the camera guy?
Oh, yeah. Kyle Petty's going to talk about it for a good 10 minutes.
Okay, guys, we need to rewrite the whole show. NASCAR actually just paged me and said we need to change it. Chase Elliott, public enemy number 1.
This is like, is Chase Elliott too distracted by the media to win the championship? There
I could see them doing
next
that.
On First Take.
Yeah, but like Chase Elliott is definitely like his father Bill in a lot of ways, but Bill Elliott, in my opinion, is like way more chill, I guess. And now we've confirmed that, over the weekend. I didn't see, I wouldn't see Bill Elliott doing that sort of thing. But hey, Chase Elliott, he's his own man. So it's good to see him have personality, though.
As this Chase Elliott fan points out in the chat, are we going to remember this next weekend? No, we're going to move on to Las Vegas, and we're gonna move on. Yeah. If this was on Fox, we would have a skit about this.
A skit about it.
All right. So, speaking of moving on, Cup Series playoff cut line. We've eliminated 4. Now there's only 8 remaining. If the championship race was tomorrow, your championship 4 would be Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell. And on the outside looking in is William Byron -3, Ryan Blaney -3, Denny Hamlin -5, and Chase Briscoe -9.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe. Let's go, man.
I feel like he's the only one there. Like the other 7, and I maybe would swap like Larson out for Byron just as like a full body of work for the season. But at least the front 7 there, all very deserving of a round of 8 spot.
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game, Eric.
I'm happy for Briscoe too. I mean, he's done great. 3 straight top 10s in that last round.
Yeah,
I mean, that's good. Like the playoffs, you can be great in the regular season, mediocre in the playoffs, and be good, or you can be mediocre in the regular season and great in the playoffs and be good. You can do one or the other, and Briscoe's doing the latter.
There was a point earlier this season where I did legitimately think Briscoe could be a championship contender. When he got the win very early on, and let's not forget, he got the win early on at Phoenix, the championship site. He got the win there. Honestly, I feel like he had the best car at Gateway, ran into an equipment issue there, and then he sure gave it everything he had at Dirt Bristol. So, that's at least 3 races where I felt like he could have had it.
Yeah.
600 too.
600 too. We can't forget that one.
I'm just going to say this really quick, and it's going to sound crazy to some. I'm going to make a really quick argument for Chase Briscoe to win the championship. He's peaking at the right time. We've seen all the chaos happen with this next-gen car, crappy-ass parts, failures, and, that sort of thing, engine failures, and a lot of wrecking, a lot of chaos, basically. And he's been able.
I like how you're just saying it just to fuck the bear.
just poking the bear there.
No, the only way this season can end is that something screwy happens, that Chase Elliott doesn't make the championship 4 race. He wins Phoenix, and Ryan Blaney with no wins wins the championship.
I got a better one. Ryan Blaney wins the championship with no wins, finishes second. Kyle Larson wins the race and wins the owner's championship, and then that'd be the crazy way. But anyway,
But really quick, I mean, but basically I'm at the end of my argument. Pretty much, all Chase Briscoe really has to do is simply survive and advance. He's been doing that, did it in the round of 16, did it in the round of 12. And I don't know if you guys saw his Twitter. He was having some fun with it last night, posting the first 4 out predictions, and every single NBC NASCAR analyst had him as the first 4 out there for the round of 16, had him out in the round of 12. But hey, simply survive and advance, man, because if he can make it to Phoenix, he has a shot at it because he won there in the spring.
Briscoe right now is reminding me a little bit of Alex Bowman back in 2020, where he had kind of been like, not on the radar of everyone there, and then all of a sudden he was just all of a sudden really good there in the playoffs. The only difference here, though, compared to this one, everyone is still clumped up close together in this one versus 2020. There was such a huge separation between everyone going into this round of 8. So to say Chase Briscoe has a shot is not a lie. He has a shot.
And also too, another guy I'm liking, he doesn't have a win, but Ryan Blaney, he's been extremely consistent, and that's another dream scenario for Blaney to win the championship without winning a race. I don't know if it's realistic, because championship 4, they give those championship 4 guys some extra horsepower.
With the remaining races,
it looks like, at least
with the remaining races, I just can't say I personally see Blaney winning any of these, but I could be wrong though.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the the guys who are in the top 4 right now, I mean, Chase Elliott is definitely the favorite, still the favorite despite last week. And again, the regular season still matters to an extent. because, you are able to have that, that large cushion compared to the field. And especially in a season with so much parity, that's extremely important. And then Joey Logano, of course, he's there. But then Ross Chastain, man, he's, I thought he would do a lot better in these playoffs. Like, again, he's kind of like Briscoe. He's sort of just surviving and advancing in there, just like, quietly making it, to the next round. So, but now we're in these final races and, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be quiet anymore. He's going to be probably more aggressive than ever before this season.
But yeah, I think that's about it for the playoffs, unless anyone else has anything else to add to that.
Yeah, and then of course, since David Bell watches, Christopher Bell, he's on that cut line too. He's just above there, so yeah, we'll
he's
see.
+3. That's what's crazy. Christopher Bell is +3 going into the round of 8.
All I'm gonna say is that the three remaining people from my original Final Four are in the top 4 right now.
All right, there you go.
I think. Wait, who's in mine? No, I think I'm missing 2.
And lastly, William Byron, thank the good Lord that the appeal thing went through. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the ratings. Jarrett, what we got?
No.
It ain't great according to Darian's reaction. We got a 2.39 for the millions of viewers, as in 2.39 million viewers watched this race, which means it's down 6.3% from last year's 2.55 million. And we had 439,000 in the key demo, which is 18% of the audience. And it continues the trend of each playoff race being down this season. And it also continues the trend of the Roval falling off in popularity over time as well. I have like a packet here. But to put it in perspective of where the Roval was and where it is now, the Roval in its first year had just about 1 million more viewers than this race did. So in 5 years, it's fallen just about 1 million.
Feels like the next gen car works on traditional road course races, but not the Roval.
Even in general, I just the road courses and short track package has just been so off with it. But it's a continuous trend, whereas every other race and race slot on the playoff schedule has had either increases in the past couple of years or decreases back and forth. It's never completely one way. And then there's the Roval, which has just been on a ride down each year. So,
and in total too, like how much are the playoffs down compared to other years?
I didn't do it this time, but it's like around
it keeps
20%.
going down. It basically keeps going down and down and down.
The decrease was better than the last couple weeks. Like it's the smallest decrease year over year of the 5 playoff races so far, or 6 playoff races so far.
Yeah.
Well, ratings are not the only indication of how good or bad a race is. Darian, what else do we have to determine that?
That's right. Oh yeah, my mom's gonna listen to this in person. The poll, the famous iceberg poll.
Studio audience.
Yeah.
I have this audio thing on my headset, so I turned it down as soon as I heard him winding
Fancy.
up. Well, looking at the poll this week, we got just over 15,000 votes. 19% said that it was a great race. The largest contingent of fans said it was a good race at 30%, meaning a net positivity of 49%. 23% said it was average. 13% said below average. 16% said bad, so a net negativity of 29%.
Okay, I feel like that all has to do with the final 6 laps solely. That's it for the 49% good, in my opinion. No way.
I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised it's that high.
Me too. Yeah.
Our audience is in general that positive all the time about races.
You're way more positive than us sometimes.
Yeah. It's actually I think one of 12 since I've started doing this that's under 50% though. So
I was going to mention it because the chat's mentioning it a lot. I know Danny's probably reading about it right now.
Yeah.
But the 98 hauler, Xfinity hauler, crashed on its way to Arizona.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds bad. I know I report on injuries. It looks like it just kind of ran off the road.
If you look at the video, I don't think anyone's hurt, but it's they definitely had to get a record come out there. It looks like maybe a tire blew in the truck, but I can't tell.
Yeah,
it doesn't look terrible, but obviously we don't know, so I don't want to speculate.
The truck went off the side of the road and into a guardrail. That's all I can gather from it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just saw.
Don't know
a
what
video
the
here.
I don't know what the car situation of the car is either.
The trailer is definitely, it didn't roll over or anything, but it's definitely like slid. So who knows what's happened inside of it.
Wow,
But
that's,
sorry,
that's
that was
crazy.
breaking news. I didn't mean to interrupt the poll, but I saw the chat was blown up
Yeah,
about it.
I saw a bunch of people talking about it too. So I went to Twitter to look up on this.
I see someone said Goodyear moment in the chat, and I'm like, well, this is a Stuart Haas car, so
Yeah.
maybe they don't have to have Goodyears on the haulers. Maybe it's Michelin or something.
Can anything go right for Stuart Haas Racing besides Briscoe? I guess making to the round of 8.
Obviously not. Obviously not, man.
My God. Well, back to it. Spencer is the first comment again. Positive, negative, or meme?
Meme.
Anytime you say again, like they've been there before, we know it's probably going to be a meme.
I love this comment. Well, that was a chaotic final lap. That's it. That's the comment.
Oh,
Okay, well, that was.
That's not a meme.
I
Yeah.
consider that negative because I don't like the word chaos. I think it's being overused.
Don't watch Jurassic Park.
No, actually, that was a meme. He had the big brain moment. He went to the future to know you wouldn't like that, and and he knew to do it.
there you
I like that.
go. Gotcha.
It is a meme.
You like that?
I mean, I don't actually like it, as we've established, but clever at least. I'll give him credit.
Well, looking at some of the comments in here, top one is from a commenter named David who says, Justin Haley has only one finish worse than 21st in the last 14 races. He has been silently very consistent.
Colleague,
He ran top 5 all day Sunday.
Colleague Racing, that's a team that's going to be on the rise next year. They're gonna
Pre
do-
and post chaos. Top 5.
Hey, don't say. I thought you didn't like the word chaos. Why are
That
you
was
saying
the
it?
joke. That was the joke.
Hey.
It was just a joke. We got Ross Crash Stain saying a good finish and it's good like good finish, doesn't make up for bad racing. Get the 41 some buffalo sauce because he is an absolute wingman.
I think we brushed over it. I feel like we brushed over the fact that, like, not only did Chase Elliott not win this race, he got just taken out by Reddick.
Oh, by Reddick. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
He
In
just
a
did.
corner where you usually don't pass at all either.
No, Reddick was going for a hole that never was going to be there, and then Elliott got spun, and that sucks. The most dominant car. Not that he didn't win, but that he just kind of got taken out and finished like 20th or something, right? Like
Yeah.
that part just kind of annoying.
Was there another race where it feels like Reddick was driving like a madman the last few laps and ended up hitting someone, or was that someone else?
Did he run over Byron at Roval last year, or was that reversed?
No,
Did Byron
I
run
feel
over
like there
him?
was one this year where that happened.
Yeah. Chat, help us out. Jog our memories, please.
Because it seems like I remember Reddick being a part of something where he just like drove like a madman, or maybe it was Chase that drove like a madman. I think someone drove like a madman.
Yeah.
Merck in the chat says a gutsy call by Stevens, the first and second non-stage cautions of the day, an excellent final lap execution by Bell keeps him in and the defending champion out. Great last stage, good racing, and strategy in stages 1 and 2. I'm glad he's positive.
At least you're positive. I mean, like, yeah, I do love the strategy aspect of it. It's very frustrating to watch when they clearly just are having a hard time to pass.
I'm going to read this one because it strokes my ego and I need to have my ego boosted all the time.
Go for it.
I'm joking, but I'm going to read it anyway.
Okay,
Hey, Jarrett.
Homelander.
It says, "Hey Jarrett, I'm going to give you props for the Bell pick. It's looking good so far, but let's not forget you called Briscoe the only pretender in the round of 12 preview. You know what? I wanted to get you guys ready for that second half to find it even funnier. But I still think he's a pretender. Like he shouldn't be here.
Oh yeah, hey, that's the system. Hey, they let it happen.
Everyone's invited, Jarrett.
Everyone's
Doesn't
invited to the
doesn't mean
playoff.
everyone should show up.
Gosh.
Let's see. Wolfie says, being at the race, it was awesome, and I had a ton of fun. But I can definitely see why everyone else didn't like it.
Yeah, no. From what I've seen, from what I've heard over the years, like the Roval is like one of the best races to attend in person.
Yeah, I really want to see it. A road course with that kind of visibility, that's just
Yeah, that's
rare.
rare.
Unmatched.
That's rare. Yeah,
Better
You see
than
everything.
Daytona, where there's buildings blocking half the track.
Oh yeah.
Or Road America, where You're lucky to see a corner.
You got.
Oh my God! I saw a car.
Road America. That's a workout. That's your steps for the day.
Finding a race car at Road America is the equivalent of finding Bigfoot in the forest. It's kind of surprises you.
Road America is a national park.
Like, I've been to my local park just to watch trains go by. I know it's nerdy, but you guys know me at this point. I've done to do that. That's about the equivalent of watching a race at Road America. You just wait until they come by.
There it is. 4 minutes
Right.
later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we got 4 miles until we come back.
All of a sudden, a deer comes on the track.
Oh no. I'm looking at some others here. Penzi says, I saw this race and thought it was definitely one race.
It was really 2 races. The first 3 hours and the last 20 minutes.
I love this. These are back to back. Will England, that was a chaotic final 2 race starts, and then Big Yoda the Man says complete chaos at the end. Love it.
Big Yoda the man should have said that like Yoda.
I can't do it.
I'm not gonna do it anymore because I'll butcher it. Let's get down to the bottom. So we had some positive ones at the top, but we had some negative ones. So I almost don't know if they're gonna be completely negative at the bottom.
Well, let's find out.
Let's see. I can read most of them. Okay. I think I can read them all. Godzilla Legendary 2078 says, it was a horrible race along with a horrible and unfair finish. Ice Car says, too bad I have to wait until NASCAR uploads the race to YouTube because when I tried watching it, it kept freezing and playing and freezing again over and over and over. So I guess I'll have to wait till then to vote.
Damn.
Twister says, horrible race. Philip says, terrible race, saved by the last caution. Still bad, though. Not been a great month for NASCAR at all. No. And then Chase Elliott, fan number 9, and I have to stress this with David Bell in the chat. I am not saying this. Chase Elliott, fan number 9, is saying this. I think it's terrible. Christopher Bell better be disqualified or else.
Dude.
What'd he do?
That's like 50. That's like that 150 meme. Like what the F you mad at me for? I didn't do that.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's something.
It's like he just won the race. What'd he do?
Yeah. That's like that 50 meme. What are you mad at me for? I didn't do nothing. But yeah. But that'll conclude. That'll conclude the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly podcast.
I was just gonna say that's still no Jimmy Johnson should be shot or anything, but you know.
Yeah.
What? All right.
So moving on to the Xfinity Series race, everyone but Eric picked this one right. AJ Allmendinger won.
Hey, James Davison finished what, 4th?
Yeah,
Don't come at me with that, James Davison.
He didn't win.
Yeah, and AJ got his 4th straight win here.
Congratulations, picking the easiest thing ever. This show is supposed to be entertaining.
It was easy. You would have picked it.
Yeah.
I'm an entertainer, Jarrett. I am.
I'm
a showman.
You're a showman. You're a showman who's blowing his points lead.
Why would anybody watch or listen to us if they knew exactly who we were all going to pick? I got to spice things up. When all you, I'm gonna, I got to throw a new name around. My goodness.
Dang, Eric, you really did blow your points lead. Holy crap! I
had a very slim points lead, to be fair, but yes, it is not going well.
You had a better one than that at one point. I remember it.
Yeah, it was. You were out there, man.
Did it ever crack 20 points?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, way over 20 points.
Yeah, it was almost like a full race worth of points.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you were like me last year, and then
hey, it's all good though.
Eric just had that realization. He's like, "Oh my god, what have I done?"
I thought I was losing in like the summer. Maybe I took a big lead briefly.
You led most of the season.
Hey, the season it's not over.
Like April.
I thought the chat was leading, and then they picked Almirola, and that's when I retook the lead. And I thought that's how it went.
They got close, but then it got extended.
Oh no, Twisted Nipples said, Eric, I put money on Davison. I believed you.
He finished 4th. That's a great. Is that his career best finish, 4th?
I mean, I'm sure it is, but
he didn't win, Eric. Come on. But so
Eric is becoming our Arizona Cardinals. Great in the first half.
That's like me. I might be gung ho my balls, but they still lose this weekend.
I'm not gonna clown you too much though, because like honestly, if it wasn't for Allmendinger, that would have been like the
Yeah.
biggest brain pick. And I didn't clown you during the show either. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk crap till
No, it's
after.
okay. It's okay. You guys can pile on. That's fine. It's all right. It's okay.
But as far as the race, I mean, I didn't see a single lap. Me and IDK were working at the fairgrounds. So how was it, guys?
Better than the Cup race.
Yeah, it's better than the Cup race.
More competent than the Cup
Well,
race?
I'll say AJ Allmendinger, he really used up Ty Gibbs, and honestly, if Ty Gibbs wanted to, he had every right to take out Allmendinger because he squeezed him into the wall to get the lead on like the final 2 restarts. Like he did it twice. I don't get how Gibbs fell for it a second time. Like he's gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
But it's pretty good.
Allmendinger had to rough up a 19-year-old to finally to win this race.
Aw.
Just saying, Davison didn't have to do that. James
'Cause he
Davison,
wasn't
his
close
whole
enough.
right front was gone, and he still finished in the top 5. Dude's a wizard.
Crocky's a wizard.
And he was very complimentary of AJ Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs too. He was like comparing them, I think, to like Jeff Gordon, and then I can't remember.
Well, no, you compared Gibbs to Max. Was it Davison who said that? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
Somebody
it was Davidson. It was Davidson.
Somebody
Yeah.
compared Ty Gibbs to Max Verstappen.
Oh, yep, Davison said that. He said that. Yeah.
Damn.
And then he compared Jeff Gordon to AJ Allmendinger. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I knew he said Jeff Gordon.
Outside of the win stuff, like Sam brings up a point in the chat that Ryan Sieg was so close to getting into the round of 8.
Oh, how close
Yeah.
was he?
He was like 2
A
points.
couple points, yeah.
Oh,
It's either
It came
one or
down to
2
the
points.
wire. It was him. Who else was who was he battling with down the stretch?
Well, I think
I know there was Mayer. Mayer had a little bit of a cushion.
Herbst was in that battle. I forgot if he made it or not.
They
off
weren't
the
like
top of my
directly battling
head.
with each other on the track. They were just close. Hemrick was, I think, one of the
Yes.
drivers on or near the cut line. And yeah, I don't remember, but it was good stuff.
Jones, I think.
Oh, Brandon Jones. That was the
Brandon
other one. Yeah,
Jones.
Brandon Jones was
Yeah.
the other one.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, it was. I kind of wanted him to make it just for the hell of it, just because he wasn't going to make the final 4. You know, he's kind of like a Xfinity Briscoe.
Oh God.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like it was solid racing, but there weren't too many like pinpoint moments to really talk about too much with this race.
Yeah, it's a good race. Allmendinger is a wizard on road courses, but more specifically the Charlotte Roval. Like that is ridiculous. I think he set the fast lap in qualifying. I don't remember for sure. I think he was fastest by a couple of tenths. Like it's not even that close. He just, when he's on it, he is on it. He did have to rough up Gibbs to get the win, but he was, the fact that he was up front all day, just dude's insane. Nobody can catch up to him.
All right, well, on that note, I think we can move on away from the Xfinity Series race. And this show is brought to you by some of our great partners, but it is also brought to you by viewers like you, and we do appreciate your Super Chat donations each week. It's time for the first Super Chat stage break. Does anyone want to get me 3 minutes, and we'll go through some
go
of
ahead.
these?
Ready?
All
for
right,
it.
cool. So we had a few that started us off here, and we're going to thank Antar Doss for starting off with $4.99. Appreciate that, Antar. I want Blaney to win the Cup so it can expose the fraud that the playoffs are and to come full circle from 2003 when winning mattered to LMAO. That's what he said. Not sure. That kind of lost me at there, Dan. Sorry about that. But appreciate the donation. M. Martin fan for life. Appreciate the $4.99. No playoffs. Everyone eligible. 2 times points for what are now playoff races and 3 times the points for the finale. Stage points, but no caution. Not sure if I like that idea. What do you guys think?
At road courses, you don't need a caution on the road course. Yeah, you don't need a caution for the stage.
Don't make it confusing for new people coming in.
The points are confusing me, so that's where I'm kind of lost
Yeah.
on it. Let me scroll up here on the other page here now. Isaac, appreciate the $1.99. NASCAR. It's Cole Custer. Who gives a rat's A?
Jeez.
That's what he says, that NASCAR said. Spencer Purcell, appreciate you being a member for 16 months. He left some sad emojis. Only a few of these episodes left. Yep, this is the last one on DannyBTalks for the season, actually.
Yeah.
So, sad.
We haven't been picked up for a season 6 yet, so.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no.
yeah. YouTube's been telling us they don't know if they're going to skip our channels.
Yeah, they knew the contract.
Got to keep watching, y'all. Got to keep right to YouTube,
Oh no.
Spotify.
Just meanwhile, people are actually tweeting at YouTube, help them. They'll be like, what?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Hunter Nixon Fishing, appreciate the $4.99. Thanks, man. Tuning in and watching my Braves play the Phillies, multitasking. Go Braves and go Dogs. I got nothing against your Dogs until we meet later this season. So appreciate the donation there, man. ManDude03 videos, appreciate the $5 Canadian. Waiting for the Vancouver versus Edmonton game to start. Go Vancouver. Is that what sport is that?
Hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy the hockey game if it's on right now. John Vandeventer, appreciate the $4.99. Aside from Xfinity, this weekend was full of controversy from the Japan Grand Prix to the ARCA race at Toledo and the Cup race.
Dude, that Japanese Grand Prix is crazy, man.
Maybe it's just a racing thing. Motorsports are just prone to chaos.
I mean, really, that's what it seems like.
Don't leave bulldozers or tractors on the track while guys are going full speed, by the way.
Jupiter Rain, appreciate the $2 there. Briscoe is like the 2010 Jayhawks, 7-9, beating defending champions. New ASA SGS. That's, I don't know how to say that, so I'm just going to spell it out. Championship seasons, Chase Briscoe with 7 top 10s.
Dude, that would be a funny video to make that happen.
That would be a funny video. Coleslaw Custard, appreciate that $2.79 Canadian dollars.
Ding, ding.
All right, and happy birthday. And I'm going to read one more. It's a one that happened a little bit later, but it's appropriate for what we're going to be going into up next. Jake Alcorn, appreciate that $9.99 donation there. In honor of the Lionel segment and my birthday, my Bowman Martinsville win finally shipped. Love you guys and the work y'all put in. Happy birthday. Enjoy the Bowman diecast. But he is right. This show is also brought to you by our friends at Lionel Racing, the official,
that was a perfect segue.
the official NASCAR diecast provider for the sport. You can be sure to pre-order your favorite diecast from Lionel Racing and also check out their line of NASCAR Authentics like you see Darian holding in his hand right there. You can find those at your nearest Walmart, Target, and other stores. I see some great cars that you guys have. Eric, what is that one you're holding?
People will be shocked to know that I have a Joey Logano car.
Wait.
Oh,
Let me guess. You're gonna smash up a hammer.
Oh, no. Of course I would, because this is a signed race win diecast from just before the end times that were the pandemic, 2020 Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I figured this would be good to tie into Las Vegas this weekend, even though this was the spring race, we're going into the fall race. But either way, Las Vegas connection, and Logano's in the round of 8, so I figured I'd show that one off.
And Jerry.
Think smarter. I have a 2006 Tony Stewart car right here. I've always liked this car because it's just the 2005 to 2000, I believe, 7 Stewart cars were the most simple. And, I'm a sucker for simple schemes. And I saw this scheme win a lot as a kid. I actually have like an entire 32 car set of the entire 2006 field that I could find. Now I'm like looking for customs, like a custom
That's
Paul
cool.
Menard for that year. Yeah, I figured I'd set something up at some point to have in the background. But yeah, I mean, I figured I'd use this one. I'll be completely honest. I realized if anyone saw me reach up earlier, I realized I'm like, crap, I forgot which one I was going to do tonight. And I'm like, oh yeah, I put it right there. So have that one.
Well, I have a perfect one for this week's Lionel Diecast segment. Good old Cole Custer, his test car. His test car, because you gotta test out those brakes, right? You gotta test out those brakes, right?
Damn.
Yeah, but I have Cole Custer's test car here. Pretty cool. I like the love the way the black looks, black scheme. Definitely one of the very few test cars where the team actually put effort into the paint scheme. So it's pretty cool. But got to test those brakes.
And I've been hiding mine until the end. I am completing a theme here. I'm happy for my Tennessee Vols. They're undefeated. I think they're going to beat Alabama. My diecast this week is Elton Sawyer's Tennessee starter car from back in the day. He ran at Bristol Motor Speedway, the number 98 of the Busch Series. So this is one time that they had a collaboration with Starter, and I think this might have been the same season that they won the national championship, I think. So really cool car from Elton Sawyer and with Tennessee on it.
Hey, was T. Martin the quarterback of that team?
He was. They actually won a championship the year after Peyton Manning left.
Yep. 99, correct? Or 98?
98.
Okay.
I want to bring something funny up about that Briscoe champion super chat. There is an honest to God real possibility if he were to win the championship this year, he'd be the first driver ever to have more DNFs than top fives winning the championship.
Oh my gosh.
Please, man.
All the Chase championships of recent would all be Mickey ones then, wouldn't they?
Oh boy.
Oh boy!
Get the camera out of my face.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good. But
There's no way I want that.
But appreciate our friends at Lionel Racing for supporting the show. Guys, we had some strong, ridiculously crazy storms come through Middle Tennessee today. There was even a tornado warning at one point southwest of Nashville, but it don't compare to this warning I just got on my phone. Darian?
It's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Woo, I got strong lungs. What do we have on tap for tonight?
And just to be clear, there wasn't an actual tornado. It was just a warning at some point. There wasn't actually one that happened.
I love this mute thing I've been using. It's beautiful.
You use it whenever I talk.
Of course,
Dude,
of course.
My mom just came in. She was like, "That was loud." What? I'm like, "Yeah, that's the point. That's the point."
Well, let's start up here. Starting off, NBC has agreed to put Race for the Championship on Peacock after the abysmal ratings they've had the last couple of weeks.
Should have kept it on YouTube.
Yeah, should have kept it on YouTube.
Attention to anyone living in Greensboro, North Carolina. This is actually real, I'm not joking. A man is wanted for spray painting NASCAR on USA on a sidewalk there.
What an idiot. Oh my god.
Yeah, doesn't he know they're all on NBC the rest of the year?
Yeah. What
And Greensboro, North Carolina, you're in NASCAR country. Why do you feel like you have to remind everyone about this?
He's got to update his TV guide.
Hey, no, USA paid him like, hey, remind him about next year.
It's like, sir, this is the street. It's not Google.
Okay, back to a little more newsworthy stuff. Reports are saying that the Wednesday crash test that took place last week apparently went really well, and the changes to the rear of the car will be implemented for next year, as they've talked about on Twitter, on Race Hub, on all those. The rear bumper changes, as well as the rear and center clip changes, will be implemented, and NASCAR has said that they will actually pay for it, which is like an olive branch they're extending to the teams. So that's something to keep an eye on, because that's not normal for NASCAR to do. Effective in 2026, all NASCAR drivers will now have to be required to have a helmet cam, according to Bob Pockrass.
If I can just say something on that, I like this move because we were just going into all that controversy. Did Cole Custer do this on purpose or anything like that? If we have stuff like that, you could get a better understanding of where their face or helmet was pointed at. What were they actually looking at? What were they doing at a given time?
ARCA champion Nick Sanchez says that he has a plan for racing in 2023, and it's looking like, according to Chris Knight, a Chevy Truck Series team.
KBM.
By the way, that ARCA race was funny, the finish at least, and the burnout. No, that was funny.
Could be KBM. That'd be interesting.
I could see it be a KBM. That makes sense.
Yeah. The Phoenix grandstands have been sold out for the Cup finale, so anyone wanting to go to Phoenix, go to the resale market. Tyler Reddick has been rumored this week, and we might talk about it a little bit more, maybe not. But it's been rumored that he's going to be going to 2311 next year, having his contract bought out, according to Lee Spencer, as Kurt Busch might be announcing retirement as soon as this weekend. So something to keep an eye on there. All right, this one, Darian, I had to put it Moon had tweeted it out, but it was on Dave Moody's show. And you know what? For all the stuff that we might disagree on Dave Moody on, God bless that man for putting up with NASCAR fans. Like
his patience is immense. The man had JJ. We'll say that him. The man had JJ calling into his show forever.
Well,
the pointless propaganda.
Now this woman has actually that called into his show was actually a clown that called into to Wind Tunnel back in the day. I believe Robin Miller was on as well.
Yep.
This one takes the cake. This woman called into the show and she unironically compared the next gen car to socialism and communism. I just wanted to let everyone know when I made the pick gun communism joke like 5 years ago. That was a joke. Like, it just.
I was gonna say because she has a point, right? That NASCAR seized all the means of production. Now they designed the car. They picked all the suppliers.
Eric.
I thought that was the point of the pick gun.
Just wait till this lady finds out about Our Motorsports.
I didn't hear the clip. If she was dead serious or over the top, obviously.
No,
but like,
she was serious, bro.
As a joke, it has as much weight as our pick gun joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke to make, but it's like, these NASCAR is going communist.
All right, comrades, let's move on.
Turn the frogs gay. iRacing's championship trophy has been renamed in honor of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It looks like the old Winston.
Yeah,
it looks amazing.
Looks awesome.
NASCAR has amended the rules of appeals to allow more people on both sides to present their case. It allows for multiple NASCAR officials also to be present for NASCAR side. Bob Pockers tweeted that out. NASCAR doing everything it can to never lose an appeal again.
Sad news.
This one's sad news. So there's been a running sort of joke on the channel. I always go to the magazine because I always love the preseason Athlon Sports NASCAR previews. Unfortunately, Athlon has canceled their baseball, college basketball, and NASCAR previews, both print and digital, effective immediately. So I mean, I remember having that since the beginning. My dad got me like an Athlon preview magazine for the 2005 season, like a week after I watched a race. Like,
on the same note, there is other good like publishers out there. The NASCAR Pole Position magazine, for example, I think they put out a good preview to start the season too. Now,
smart move, Danny.
And then I feel bad. We're gonna end off on some sad news here too. Alex Bowman is out for the next 3 races due to a concussion that he had gotten from Texas.
At this point, y'all know I like to drive the 48 car. Hope he gets back to 100%. At this point, don't even worry about coming back this year. Focus on his health. That's what's most important.
Yeah.
I just realized, you know what? You know what would be the greatest chaos that we could have for Phoenix? Bowman comes back and wins. Blaney wins the championship, finishing second. And Larson wins the owner championship, finishing third. They just have a giant down that long straightaway, a giant 3-car burnout.
Yes.
They do like the end of Ford versus Ferrari where they all line up 3 wide.
Yeah, and then they all give the NASCAR officials up top the finger.
And
why would they do that? Byron won his appeal.
I don't know.
Why would he risk that?
and then Matt Crafton comes out to celebrate his Menards family member on winning a championship without a win.
That's right. It'd be the second time for Menards NASCAR that's happened. Her stock car, excuse me. But yeah.
Joined alongside by Paul Menard to congratulate everybody.
That goes hard.
For Menard.
But that is the lightning round. But
yes. Hold on. And that'll do it for the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now, back to the show.
You shut your mouth, Danny. I got to say this.
Oh, man.
Well, I know we've got a few more big topics to get to. It's going to be a long show well into the evening. We're going to be NWP After Dark before long here. But first, we have to thank Forney Industries, as always. I mentioned last week, guys, that I recently drove through Forney, Texas for the first time ever. It was eye-opening. It was beautiful. They had a really lovely sign made out of bricks and big flagpoles. It was gorgeous. They take great pride in their town name because Forney stands for strength and everything great. Forney offers a full line of welding and plasma cutting machines. They're great for do-it-yourselfers all the way up to professional metalworkers. As I say every week, Forney does in fact have everything you need for your next major project. So you can shop all of their products at forneyend.com. It's right underneath my little head here in the description down below, or check them out at an authorized Forney dealer near you. The logo's over there by Jarrett. So be sure to keep an eye out. Thanks to Forney for sponsoring the show.
Yeah, on that same note of Forney, I didn't realize this. They got some extra ad time because at the start of the show, I just had their logo up for like a solid 5 minutes. And
Good man.
Funny.
But moving on, we got to talk about. Well, we briefly talked about this earlier, but Byron was helped out in a big way by having that penalty from Texas amended. He was given his points back, but his money fine increased. What do we think about this, guys?
I forgot we hadn't talked about this on the show up to this point. Honestly, it everything that's happened, it almost feels like old news, but we definitely have to talk about it a little bit. I think
it is responsible for why he's even in the round of 8 right now. So
that is true. Without this, the points penalty being rescinded, he would be eliminated right now, and his teammate Kyle Larson, I guess, would be in. I think it was the wrong call. I think I don't know what the appeals panel doesn't offer any sort of explanation. The rule book was pretty clear. NASCAR reserves the right to penalize someone for intentionally wrecking or spinning out another vehicle. Well, they added the words "or spinning" in the rule book to the rule book after this, but
because they didn't technically wreck from the spin.
We're haggling over definitions. Wrecking, I think, in the the rule book sense, could mean anything. Spinning, you don't know where that guy's going to crash into, what he's going to crash into that could or could not have done damage. But it's pretty clear in the rule book. If you do that, NASCAR has the right to suspend you or to penalize you at least 25 points and at least $50,000. So NASCAR, per their own rule book, took the lighter route. They went with the lighter penalty. I guess the appeals panel looked at the "or" section of the rule book. You can penalize them points or money, you can do and/or, and so they said, "Oh no, it wasn't severe enough to warrant a points penalty, just a money penalty." I don't know. They're admitting that he did something wrong in their explanation. They said, "Yeah, Byron broke the rule."
They're not denying it.
They're saying he did break the rule. We just don't agree with the penalty NASCAR assessed. And in that case, it's like, why is the appeals panel? I know they don't work directly for NASCAR or anything, but why is the appeals panel and NASCAR viewing the rule book entirely differently? Why are they not on the same page? It looks bad that NASCAR dishes out a penalty that isn't upheld. It's like, they need to maintain their authority. Their authority now looks questionable. And so I don't know. I think they got it wrong. I think he deserved a points penalty for spinning Hamlin out. The fact that he wasn't sent to the tail or the rear or anything like that, NASCAR messed up by not calling it in the moment, but there's nothing in the rule book that says this kind of penalty has to be called on race day. NASCAR has the right to wait until Tuesday or Wednesday to call it. They did. I don't know why the appeals panel overturned it. I think it was wrong.
It almost feels like NASCAR said, okay, you can have your 25 points back, but you got to buy it. You got to pay $50,000 more.
Well, I think some people were talking about that, like 25 points. I think that someone joked, maybe it was one of you guys, who joked that, like, who wants to pool together a few $100,000 and buy a NASCAR championship or something? Just buy the points needed.
That wasn't me. I would have taken credit for that one.
Yeah.
I can't honestly believe that they rescinded the points penalty. I even thought maybe 10 to 15 would be okay. If you reduced it, but still there were points taken away, I could understand that, especially seeing how it was given the same penalty that Ty Gibbs had. And I don't think those two incidents are exactly the same personally. But again, it's just in every single way of officiating at this point, NASCAR has no control over what's going on in its own events and its own officiating. And this is something that shouldn't have been an issue, like, in my opinion. Like, wording, basically changing words and a sign pretty much have changed the complete complexion of the championship right now. That is not, like, at the end of the year, if William Byron or if Chase Briscoe does win the championship, or let's say if Austin Cindric, who has been very solid this year, puts together enough that he would have won, like, and again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but still, they can look back at a word and a sign being what is the difference between them winning a championship or not, or vice versa. And that's where you reach the point of absurdity that we're at right now.
Well, it just goes to show, as long as you have money, then you can sort of buy your way out of anything, it seems like. And same case in NASCAR. I mean,
I got $3.
Yeah, I got $3. But yeah, $100,000. That's basically a drop in the bucket for Hendrick Motorsports. And yeah, like I felt like there still should have been some type of points penalty, but then some fans were like, and including the famous YouTuber Amp Lemon, who we had on the show a couple weeks ago, he felt that okay, there shouldn't have been a penalty warranted because hey, it's the officiating crew. They should have made the call in that moment, and they didn't. So that part I can sort of understand to an extent, but now it's like, dang, just he basically got away scot-free. And it basically, yeah, like you said earlier, man, like in the end, it did affect, Austin Cindric and then Kyle Larson too, his teammate to an extent too. But yeah, it's just one of those deals where, yeah, you can, if you have money, you can buy your way out of anything, it seems.
All right.
Biggest loser in all this was Hamlin, who lost all that track position and really didn't get any justice for it.
Yeah.
He could have won.
Justice was not served. But yeah, you know what? He can dish out his own justice in the round of 8.
He's got a list. He's checking it twice.
Yeah.
Well,
3 and 4 and 5 times. He'll get to it someday.
Let's see. Denny Hamlin currently has William Byron ahead of him, Ross Chastain ahead of him, and I'm pretty sure he just don't like Joey Logano. So there you go.
He doesn't like Briscoe either. I know he's not ahead of him right now, but he don't like Briscoe either.
Yeah. So, well, him and Elliott have had issues before too. So,
He didn't. Shoot, Hamlin about to wreck his way to a championship.
Denny versus the world.
Denny's
Cashing all these receipts.
Denny's about to deliver. All right. Moving on, these next two stories we have in our things kind of go hand in hand with one another a little bit, I feel like. But first subject here, we have NASCAR and the teams disagree on TV money. Now, all this is coming from Adam Stern here. So Jeff Gordon says the NASCAR and the teams are far apart in what they can agree on for what the teams get out of the TV money split. It goes on to say teams say that 93% of the total value of the sport is represented by the league and tracks, while 7% is represented by the team's combined values. NASCAR says the 93.7 numbers are misleading and disingenuous because teams are only counting charter values. This is all coming from Stern. Moreover, NASCAR wants teams to agree to a budget cap or some other cost control measures to discuss giving more revenue to the teams.
Yeah, okay. Somebody's lying about that 93.7, split thing. Either NASCAR's lying about them being disingenuous, or the teams are just straight up lying.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think NASCAR or the teams are certainly. I think they are just counting probably the charter money and everything. But I think it's still at the core of their argument is they need a bigger split of the upcoming TV contract so that they're not as reliant on sponsorship. A few of the numbers that were thrown around by people, so at the negotiating table was Steve Newmark of Roush, Dave Alpern of Joe Gibbs Racing, Jeff Gordon of Hendrick, and I forget, Chris Polk, I think is his name, from 2311. Yep. He's one of Michael Jordan's longtime business partners. It was the four of them primarily talking and negotiating with NASCAR, and they were not happy with the revenue split NASCAR proposed this past week. Apparently it took months for NASCAR to ever even submit a proposal to them, and when they finally got that proposal, it offered, like you just said, Daniel, you read Adam Stern's tweet, it offered plans to maybe cut costs and only minimal revenue increases, splits going to the team. So I think both sides, it's early. I think these negotiations are going to continue over the next year. Hopefully they reach some sort of common ground sooner rather than later, but it's concerning that they're so far apart to start. F1, I know a lot of NASCAR industry, a lot of the industry will point to what F1 has, and their business model is obviously a little bit different, but 50% of revenue goes to the teams, as opposed to 25% of the TV revenue that goes to the NASCAR teams. So I don't know that the teams want 50%. They may be understanding that that's not realistic, but they want more than 25. And will NASCAR be able to find a middle ground with them? Will they be able to adhere to that request? Will they be able to reach an agreement the next year? I don't know. Jeff Gordon sounds concerned. Dave Alpert, all the people I just named sounded concerned with what they've seen from NASCAR so far. It's still early, but it's, we're not talking 5 years from now. We're talking a year, maybe 2, well, probably less than 2. We're talking a year from now.
Maybe even less than a year from now.
If
it's like any other negotiations for the previous contracts, this time next year, we should know the contract.
Yeah, well, there's a chance that NASCAR will line up, for the most part, a TV deal before they've fully solidified a new revenue split with the teams. You'd imagine they go hand in hand.
I thought that was signed in hand.
Oh, maybe it is. It might
I'm
be.
pretty
I'm not
sure. I'm pretty sure they have to know the splits going in.
I'm sure
beforehand.
you can't be far apart. I think you got to be close to an agreement, if not completely agreed on something. You're probably right, but it's not next week, but it is over the next year. So
no, I'll say I see this in the chat. I'm not gonna immediately go to split. Like that's jumping the gun too early. If we're having these talks like June, July next year, that's when you can start really being concerned about like where NASCAR's heading. But like
one
I said,
point,
it's early.
I don't remember who it was. One of those four people I mentioned who was at the table. One of the teams did say that they fully believe that everyone at NASCAR they've talked to understands that the current business model is flawed and that the teams need support. So I think there is a common understanding. It's just when they actually get down to haggling over dollars and cents, they're still in disagreement.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's like they're not completely on different pages at this point. I don't want to like jump to the alarmist stat at this point. Like I said, if it's this way 9-10 months from now, I'm not going to say split, but I'll have real concerns about what's going on. But it's like I think I saw a stat that's well over 50% of the revenue that teams use is sponsor revenue. That's like
60 to 80% typically comes from sponsors for a lot of the bigger teams, especially.
That's unsustainable. Like that was sustainable in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s.
I mean, you had the money coming in at the time. But,
But now when NASCAR isn't as popular as it was at its peak, you can't have the business model be the same one it was at its peak. Like that's just just common sense. Where I think what I would find in a perfect world, and I don't think it'll be this way, but what I'd find in a perfect world is if you can somehow replicate the way that like IndyCar has all these sponsors that have pulled out of NASCAR. IndyCar is not as big as NASCAR. Like in IndyCar, in so many ways, is not in as good of shape as NASCAR, but yet they can get these big name brands to stick around or to stay on a whole season. If you can get where you can have full season sponsors again, because the teams don't need that sponsorship money the way they do now, that would be the perfect end goal for me. Personally, I would say. And I think it would help the sport.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's aware the business model is not sustainable. So I don't know if I really have anything more to add. You guys pretty much said all the points.
It's tough because we don't know the numbers. Like NASCAR the teams get 25% of the TV revenue now. Say the TV revenue for the next contract is the same. I don't know what Fox and NBC pay a combined like almost $500 million a year. Say that money doesn't change. Say it's exactly the same the next deal. 35%. Is that enough for the teams to feel comfortable going forward? 40? Can it be 30? Does it have to be 50? Like what? I don't know what number is sustainable. And then you got to keep in mind the tracks. I know we all look at the tracks at this point because they're taking up a lot of money, as greedy as taking all this money. And maybe that's true to an extent, but they do still need a lot of money to stay afloat. They only host like 2 big events a year, and in most cases. And
also to add more to that too, as far as some of these tracks are concerned, I mean, like there's only a few tracks out there where like they have other events outside of NASCAR that gets some revenue streams, like Las Vegas, for example. The freaking famous EDC concert. Oh my goodness, I feel like that gets some more money than NASCAR races. I think at this point, or somewhere in the same ballpark, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always huge.
Like I know Bristol Motor Speedway, they've had things where Mr. Beast rented it for a day, did a video there. I think Dude Perfect's had events there. Cletus McFarland's hosted events there. So they're renting the track out for things like that.
But most of these tracks don't have that, unfortunately. Yeah, they don't have that. So
that's a good point from First Last in the chat. And NASCAR did put out 1 or 2 statements, but overall he says, I feel like with only the teams talking, we don't know anywhere close to what the real story is. That's true. And I think that's true. Right now we've mostly just heard the team side of things, and they're the ones who I think, I'm not going to say NASCAR isn't struggling. NASCAR back around the pandemic, I know, slashed some of their corporate workforce.
But they're in a tight spot. They're in a tight spot.
But the teams, for sure, the teams are, and that's what it comes down to. Denny Hamlin said this: is that cost cutting does not equal growth. And I don't remember who it was who said this. It was probably Dave Alpern from Toyota, I think, who said it, from Joe Gibbs Racing, who said that kind of the same thing, that no business succeeds if you're constantly just cutting costs, downsizing. And the teams have said the only place left to cut costs is to just lay off more people or just fire more workers. And that's not good for anyone. That's not good for the industry. That's not good for for North Carolina.
I think I made this comparison when we had Amp on the show. Like, you guys know, I watched WWE. So they had cut so many people from their roster over the last few years, and mainly due to budget cuts. It's more like Vince McMahon needed the money, looking back on it all now. they went for all that, and now that they've had a change in management, they've brought back almost all of those people that they let go. So cutting your expenses isn't necessarily always a good thing, and it's kind of the same for both situations here. It
You
feels
just
like.
worry at this point, any more cutting, I think, will severely hurt the product. We've already seen how some of the cost cutting this year has hurt the product with all the parts failures of the next gen. The next gen is ultimately supposed to be a cost saving measure. And it's affected the product this year, like just a little bit, but it's affected the product. Any more cost cutting, doing away with live pit stops, stuff like that severely will change the product. And I don't think for the better in most cases. So that's where NASCAR, I do think has some pressure on them to invest in their talent. The stars of the sport are the race teams and the drivers and the pit crews. And many of the tracks, I think, have fallen short on their end of the bargain. They have not renovated. They have not stayed up to date. So I think the team should, in my opinion, get they are justified in wanting a larger chunk of the pie. And we'll just see if NASCAR gives in.
Well, and looking at previous contracts and adjusting it to inflation to see like where this deal should be around, if it's to even stay the same as before. So the original big one that was in the early 2000s was 2.4 billion. That'd be about 4.3 today. The one with like ESPN, the one before this one was 4.8 billion, which should be 7.3 billion compared to today. Current contract is 8.2 billion, which would be about 10.5 billion in today's money. So as long as they can have double-digit billions for the most part, if they get anything more than 10.5. Well,
it's just like a nice
what I'm saying,
10 billion. Yeah.
What I'm saying is it fits with most sports contracts. It's on the lower end of most sports contracts, but around 10.5 billion is where you would expect NASCAR to sit if they're wanting to just maintain the status quo based on inflation. So anything around there or up would actually be really good for them. And if the teams can get a bigger cut of that, would be really good for long term.
Yeah,
to put it in perspective of what this should be next year.
There's an old saying, a little goes a long way. I know these teams, they want a huge number and stuff, but like if they're still able to get, a little bit more than they have now, I still think, I think that would still go a long way and stuff. It's just a matter of the two sides, just trying to find common ground. And it does help out a lot that NASCAR is aware that, okay, like we totally get it. This isn't unsustainable. What do you want to do? But I don't know, like I'll be way more worried if what Jared said earlier, if like 10, 11 months from now, we're still like in a similar situation as far as the negotiations are concerned. But it's just one of those deals where us fans will have to wait and see. I know I had tweeted about like, oh, well, like there was a split in IndyCar a long time ago. Look at that, but hey, I'm not going to go there quite yet. I'm not saying like, oh, it's actually going to happen.
By tweeting it.
Well, I said, it's still a possibility. It's still a possibility. You never know.
4K.
You never know. It's still a possibility. But I mean, do I think it's going to happen like right away? Like, no. But
something that could change the optics of it is if they go to streaming. Like that could be an option for them, because I think NASCAR's talked about going streaming in 25. So like, what do you guys think about that option? Streaming either on a streaming service, or maybe my thing is do what the MLB has done and have a few races like simulcast on YouTube.
I think you have to go. You have to go the simulcast route. You just can't, for the sake of the teams who sell sponsorship based on the TV viewer. You cannot exclusively put a race anywhere on your streaming exclusively. But I'm with you. The simulcast option, I love what MLB does. And actually, MLB, I don't know that it's a simulcast. I think it's exclusive to YouTube when they do that YouTube game of the week. I love it. I like it. It's good. But in the case of NASCAR, typically, though, they take like a regional game that would only be seen by 50, 60, 80,000 people regionally anyways. They put that on YouTube. NASCAR's every race is national. Every race gets hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of viewers. You can't take that and exclusively put it on streaming. But simulcast on Peacock, like they've done some this year, great. I know people have mentioned Tubi, which is owned by Fox, ESPN Plus, of course, which is owned by ESPN if they were to come in and get involved in the next deal. All for it. I do think the NFL has been the guinea pig for things like Amazon Prime, and I don't know what those numbers look like because I don't think Amazon releases them unless they're really good. Oh, maybe they do.
Good. Over 12 million.
I think
It's
they're
actually
starting
higher than most Thursday night football games the last like 10 years.
But
That's
see,
very interesting.
like
Well, NFL Network was always like I didn't get
The-
NFL Network with my basic cable package. Hold on, Dave, just a moment. I think I think they've conditioned some portion of sports fans perhaps to cross over to accept at least Amazon Prime. A lot of people have Amazon Prime. Not that many people have Peacock. Not that many people have ESPN Plus compared to Amazon Prime. I think the NFL has been that guinea pig trying to sort of condition the sports fan. So maybe you could get away with it there. But I would be very cautious about doing a Peacock exclusive like IndyCar did this year.
No,
I don't think I'd do it.
Look, I mean, yeah, simulcasting is, in my opinion, the only way to go. I mean, NASCAR is certainly not the NFL in terms of, ratings and stuff like that. I mean, the NFL, they can get away with like putting a whole game,
Jared,
exclusively.
Jared or anyone here, do you know off the top of your head what percentage of the NFL, of like the average NFL TV viewership is in the 18 to 49 demo? You know, like 20% typically
It's
is
in
NASCAR.
I think it's in the 30s or high 30s, low 40s. It's around where like F1 is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that also will play a role. I think that demo is absolutely going to be comfortable switching to streaming. I think NASCAR still has many that are 50, 60, 70 will be much slower to make that transition.
Now,
They'll never make it.
yeah.
What I was going to say a few minutes ago is with the NFL, they have so many games, so many teams that they can get away with trying one game a week on a platform like this. This isn't every game's going to be like this. It's one game a week that is on that platform, and they can get away with it because of that. But you brought up Peacock, and I know the WWE, for example, they got rid of their own streaming network and went exclusively to Peacock, and it seems to have worked out good for them. But that's apples and oranges trying to compare the two to any other thing.
I will say making the own streaming service at this point, like that ship, in my opinion, sailed unless you're somebody like the NFL, just because there are so many streaming services now. You're going to pay more for that combined than you are for TV.
At the time that they did WWE Network, it was about 2014. I think it made more sense to try it back then. But like you said, it seems like you just need to have like a central hub where you can watch lots of things on one platform.
Yeah. Now, I know some NASCAR fans have been like, oh, I'll never watch a race behind a paywall, yada, yada. Like, okay, dude. Like, I'm pretty sure, if the price is right. And
You're watching it behind a paywall either way. If you pay for cable, you're paying a paywall.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, okay, you're not making any sense.
But having two paywalls, it's just going to hurt the sport.
Exactly.
There's some people that like I know that I've done it before where you have to choose between what you want to pay for, just because nowadays money's tight. Some people are going to cut cut cable so they can get like a $5 streaming service a month instead of paying, like I do with YouTube. I pay YouTube TV $70 a month. Some people aren't going to do that, and then on top of that, have to go on to Peacock. Like they're not going to do that.
You nailed it, Jared. Though, if a NASCAR fan has to pay for two separate services to be able to watch every race this year, you've lost.
Yeah.
Right now, you have to pay for one cable, and you get FS1 and you get USA with pretty much every basic cable package that I know of. That's good. That's fine. We can survive with that. But if you implement a streaming service on top of that you still can't do that.
I say do it what ESPN Plus does with F1. If you are going to pay for it, have an enhanced product to pay for. So like I'll pay $5 extra a month if it means that on top of it being on normal Fox or NBC especially, I can go on Tubi or I can go on Hulu or I can go on Peacock, and I can watch the full race, no commercials, camera angles the whole time, not miss a single thing. I will pay for that. But for lay people who don't watch it as much, they should have the option to watch on a normal platform.
Like, I think the easiest thing to do if you want to get, especially younger viewers too, just try out the YouTube channel a little bit more too. I mean, NASCAR's YouTube channel has nearly 1 million subscribers. So, put a few races on there as well, simulcast it too,
It needs a boost. Especially after getting rid of the full races they used to show.
I'd like to see experimentally one time a truck race or something like that. Try to do it on YouTube and see what the numbers look like compared to an average
Yeah.
like broadcast of it.
You can
Because
start out.
I don't think the Cup Series would tell us enough, but maybe Truck Series could tell us something.
Yeah, you could start out in the lower series and just do that. I mean, not every race. You can just start off with a few races here and there and stuff, and then maybe someday.
Because I think what is an average Truck Series race bringing in? Like a couple 100,000 viewers?
Like between 5 and 800,000, depending on how
it's
good
more
or
than
bad
half
the
a million.
weekend is.
So if like total views of a truck race, like live and after live, could be similar, I think that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, especially since they tally everything up like 3 or 4 days later. If in 3 or 4 days you have 500,000 views on a truck race on YouTube, like that's a viable option for a simulcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
the only way that could work though, as far as TV negotiations, you have to put that in the contract. Like, hey, we're allowed to do this.
You got to put wiggle. I think if they're able to put any wiggle room in the contract, like I don't know what the wiggle room is with the current one, but if you notice that there's more races now than years, like it used to be 9 races on Fox, 7 on FS1. Now it's 10-6, and it used to be like 6 races on NBC. Now we have I think 8 or 9. Like there needs to be that wiggle room too, so NASCAR doesn't, kind of get screwed for something they signed 10 years in advance. But that kind of gets through that.
It ties it up.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this next topic a bit. I do think this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'll let you bring it up, Eric.
Yeah, well, it was it was Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal, reported that Dodge's talks of re-entering NASCAR have stalled. Apparently, he wrote that they're choosing to put more of their effort into their NHRA program and are not currently planning on expanding to any different racing series. Now, the rumors that Dodge was going to go return to the Cup Series really heated up when Steve Phelps name dropped them at the end of last season during a press conference as a team that may or may not be interested in the sport. It sounds like they were potentially close. Stern noted that they at least had one conversation with RFK about possibly switching over to Dodge, which that definitely was the K part, not the R part talking there.
Yeah, clearly
making that move. But it always was a little weird. Like it makes a lot of sense. They've been in NASCAR. They're a very American brand for sure. But they announced, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think, that the Challenger and Charger are going to be discontinued in like a year and a half. So if they're not really focused on internal combustion engines, they're retiring the Hellcat engines, retiring the Charger and the Challenger. What good is NASCAR to Dodge at that point? Like it is kind of always been a little bit of a questionable thing. Now, over the summer, I think it was kicking the tires, leaked some documents from NASCAR that they were planning an all-electric exhibition series for a handful of weekends next year, including the Busch Clash. They're going to be like a support series to the Cup race at the Coliseum. But according to Adam Stern, now those talks, that stalled out. That has been delayed. That will not happen next year either. So perhaps the Dodge interest was due to this electric series. Like, hey, we're only interested if NASCAR, you start, hybrid engines or electric series, something like that. And then, maybe Dodge money got tight. They had a change of heart. They said no. And now NASCAR said, all right, well, then we're going to delay all the electric stuff because Dodge was the only one pushing for it. I don't know what the timeline is correct, but that's how it appears to me.
That's what I think it might be vice versa, because the Dodge stuff has been going for a while. That's been churning since last year, where the electric stuff came up like towards the end of the summer. I almost think that like the Dodge NASCAR talk started to stall, and then like NASCAR's like, well, I mean, we're wanting to go electric one day. We'll give it a shot. You want to like experiment with this, and then we can get you in that way. Because I remember when like they talked about the memo and different people talked about it. It might have even been part of it that like they were saying that they're open to different manufacturers testing to be into NASCAR one day, and this can be their entry. And it's like, it almost feels like that would be an option for them to get Dodge in there. That would be the Dodge series for them for a little while. Either way, it's a shame that Dodge isn't coming back with how popular they are in NASCAR. And the electric stuff, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be there now, but unfortunately, that's just the way the car industry is going. They don't want internal combustion engines.
The thing with like Chrysler altogether, and you guys know I've worked in the car sales industry before. Just from what I saw, just on the market buying part of it, I mean, I feel like there was a shift of people not really necessarily getting Dodge cars, but getting their sub series. The Ram trucks are very popular. The Jeeps are very popular. There's other things within Chrysler that they want to focus on selling right now, and just Dodge cars are not what they used to be in the car market anymore.
But it's a real shame though, because like, wasn't the point of this next gen like to try and get more manufacturers back into the sport and stuff? But like
Sure,
so
yeah.
far, it seems like now nobody's at the table. It seems.
I mean, it is short term. But I get it. Like a lot of people brought up, like basically every point that they wanted with the next gen in some way has been diminished. But it is only like it's less than a year in. I'm not gonna label it a failure like some fans have.
I'll give it 5 years. In 5 years,
Just a step backwards. I
five to
mean,
seven.
I think definitely within the
It
next
needs
few
time.
years, you'd like there to be another manufacturer. The next 4 or 5 years, you'd like there to be another manufacturer in the sport. Absolutely. I think if there's not, that's definitely an indictment on the next gen a little bit. Not necessarily it makes it a total failure if it's able to succeed in other avenues, but yeah, I mean, this is unfortunate because it did sound like Dodge was legitimately close enough that the president of NASCAR was comfortable name dropping them at a press conference, but I don't know, it all fell apart for one reason or another. It fell apart. There's still plenty of opportunities, and I hope NASCAR doesn't bail on the electric series idea. I hope it's maybe just a 1 year delay. They have a lot of other things on their plate that they need to address before they go, start racing electric cars. But
really
but I
need
want to.
to like go for those next gen safety concerns before you start going into how
Yeah.
they work.
Yeah, but I do want to see an electric series sooner rather than later, just because, like you said, Jarrett, the car industry is heading that way. And at some point, if NASCAR wants to keep getting the support of OEMs like Toyota, Ford, Chevy, even, I think they're going to need to play by their rules a little bit and sort of meet them halfway. And there was a talk in that Adam Stern article that maybe electric cars could replace the Xfinity series one day. Yeah, maybe, but I think that's years down the line. I'd love to see just an experimental development or not development, exhibition series, an experimental exhibition series pop up sooner rather than later. I was kind of excited for the idea next year that got leaked. But hopefully that's just delayed, not scrapped entirely.
Yeah, I'd be fine with like, honestly, God, I'd be fine with the electric series on its own. I think that making that series have its own identity would be good in and of itself, and then maybe down the road you merge it in. But now it feels like the more realistic thing to happen to Xfinity is four-door sedans, or like the minivan series or whatever you call it. I think that's the one everyone's bringing up. It's just,
I like it.
yeah, it's just. I have to admit, I was kind of looking forward just to seeing what NASCAR did, and even if it was a complete, shit show, at least it would have been a fun one, because it was something new. I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't be crazy about going that route anytime soon.
That's how I feel.
But again, it's just, delayed for next year. We still don't know. They might, get back to it, in 2024.
And sorry, it's worth noting NASCAR is, to my knowledge, they've never addressed those leaks or anything publicly. I don't think they ever talked about it. So those leaks that were leaked over the summer, that might have been months old. That might have been kind of dead and gone by the time it got leaked. We don't know. But I do hope that NASCAR still has that on their to-do list some point soon.
Yeah, get the next gen fixed first, and then
Sure.
focus on that stuff.
Talk about stuff for the future. 2024's NASCAR Cup Series schedule is still a long ways from ever being revealed, but according to Steve Phelps, he says that this could be NASCAR's, quote, most aggressive season yet. Couple things here, guys. I want to hear from all of us. What's one fun option you'd say could be added to the schedule? I'm going to give two, actually. I'm going to say we make, instead of just the All-Star, North Wilkesboro becomes a regular season trek, or two, Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway gets added in some capacity.
Right, you stole one of mine. That was, I've wanted Wilkesboro to be a points race, but Fairgrounds is a big one. I heard they're actually making some progress on it. It sounds like
Potentially.
Yeah. As for me, talking about, races over the border, I would love for the Cup Series to go to Montreal, the circuit of Gilles Villeneuve. That's always that place always put on an amazing show, back in the Nationwide Series day. So I'd love to return to that.
I want to know who Gilles Villeneuve is.
Yeah, I want to ask. I'm going to ask after the show the resident French speaker in my house if you said that right.
I've made that mistake too in a video.
Yeah, he's a former.
That was close though. Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah,
right?
Gilles. I thought. I said it
he
right.
wasn't that far off.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That sounded pretty good to me.
But since we're giving two, like a very wild one in my opinion, and I had put this in the podcast chat. making the LA Coliseum a playoff race. Now, if you're talking about aggressive, hey, it would be different, but
No, they can't.
that would be crazy. That would be insane.
We're turning Auto Club into a short track. It's basically right there. Why go for all that effort to do that?
So my two, I'm gonna cater to the old school fan. I'm gonna cater to the new forward thinking fan. I think I'll start with this one. Speaking of international, Darian, I like Mexico City. I'd love to see them run something close to the F1 circuit. I just think that would make NASCAR look. That'd be big for NASCAR from a PR standpoint to go. They've gone to Canada recently, but it's been a while since they've been to Mexico. I think that'd be great. But for the old school fan, I want to take the stadium, the fact that these cars can race on a quarter-mile tight confines, Bowman Gray for either the All-Star or the Clash. Clash might be tough because February in, where is that, like North Carolina, I guess. It might be a little chilly, but maybe there's some sort of exhibition race. Maybe it becomes the All-Star race the year after Wilkesboro. Perhaps I would support that. I think that would be fun to see.
I'm going to give one more. If it draws a great crowd for the lower series races next year, since y'all lost Road America, the Milwaukee Mile, maybe try that one.
Yeah.
My God, y'all are taking mine.
Haven't you already given your two?
No, I've
okay.
crossed 6 off the list.
Oh no.
I'm glad I put a list together though.
That just
real
means
quick,
we all think alike.
I have an idea, really quick, and this would be aggressive. It would be good for the manufacturers, and it would be a way to incorporate stadium racing full-time into NASCAR.
Okay.
What if we do full-time electric series? It can be indoors, and you just take it stadium racing. You take it anywhere you want in the country. It can go up to Minnesota. It can go down to Florida. It can go wherever the hell you want.
NASCAR at Jerry's World.
NASCAR at SoFi
You
Stadium.
could, but you could do all these things. Doesn't matter if it's a dome. Doesn't matter if it's outdoors. Doesn't matter what country it's in. There are stadiums all over the world that you can bring that series to and expand NASCAR.
And
I agree.
I
love that.
Because it is electric, the sound wouldn't be as big of an issue, especially in a domed
Fumes
stadium.
really are the issue.
Fumes. Yes, fumes is the big issue.
But if we're talking tracks, because I wanted to get that out there. I'm like, okay, I know they haven't taken this one.
You should patent that before Ben Kennedy swoops in.
I'll just hit him up on.
Let's
hit him up. I'll send him an email.
Send him a DM.
Let's see. Let's start looking out for weird names in chats. I bet one of these is his burner account.
He's definitely Doritos and Mountain Dew. I knew it all along.
but if I'm gonna give two tracks, you know what? Screw it. We can give whatever ones we want. I'm gonna say, let's go back to Chicagoland. That's mine. That's my default. That's my default.
Okay. Now the non-biased answer.
But my non-biased answer, you know what? People want all these different tracks back, but then when it happens, they don't show up. Except I remember that they had truck races here. And people showed up, and NASCAR still said no one showed up for the truck races, even though they had like 30,000 at a truck race. Bring back the Rock for like a one-off, like especially like maybe even that way you don't oversaturate the market. You go back and forth between the Rock and North Wilkesboro, back and forth. Make those like your Field of Dreams races, something like that.
And if they ever come back to the Rock, we can say finally NASCAR has come back to the Rock.
Oh, you gotta get the Rock to come and be the Grand Marshal.
If you can, yeah. If he's available, yeah. If he's down to do it.
If you can find the Rockingham on a map.
If NASCAR said, here's money, come to the race, Rock's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never seen a paycheck he didn't like.
Yeah. Look at his movies.
Yeah.
Scorpion King.
Some are good. Some are fine.
We're going to have Talladega Nights 2 starring The Rock.
I watched the Game Plan again recently.
Oh my god,
that's a cute movie. It's good. It's a fun family flick.
It was one of his earlier ones. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I think his team is loosely based on the Patriots. I think.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Tom Brady, you just like looking in a mirror.
Both ageless over time.
Yeah.
Better with age, you might say.
Both not married to Giselle anymore.
Oh, no, come on.
Whoa.
I'm just gonna say this now. Like all the NFL ones and jokes about that, man. I look at NASCAR in comparison, and NASCAR like is weak.
Yeah.
when it comes to like jokes like that and stuff. Good God.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's get to
seriously.
Las Vegas. Come on.
Okay.
I'm staying out of that one. Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Let's go back to Darian's hometown.
And
The Xfinity Series race, Alsco Uniforms 302. This is a 201 lap race. Starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC with radio coverage from PRN. As far as the weather goes, it's going to be hot. 90 degrees, partly sunny, a 13% chance of rain. The defending winner of this race is Josh Berry. As for the Cup Series race, it is the South Point 400. This is a 267 lap race. It starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC with radio coverage on PRN. As far as the weather goes for this one, we have 84 degrees and a 5% chance of rain. The defending winner of this race is Denny Hamlin, and Darian's going to get us into the betting odds for this weekend.
yes, that's right, and fittingly so at Las Vegas. The betting odds on the NASCAR Weekly podcast this weekend. Denny Hamlin is a clear-cut favorite at plus 550, and second to him is Christopher Bell at plus 800. So the odds makers are extremely confident that Hamlin's going to pull it off. We'll see. Chase Elliott also has plus 800 in third, and then Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain are plus 900. As for the best of the rest, Kyle Larson's also plus 900. William Byron and Ryan Blaney plus 1,000. Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch round out the bottom five at plus 1,200. As for the famous underdog segment, Chase Briscoe plus 3,000, Austin Cindric plus 5,000, Eric Jones and Brad Keselowski plus 10,000, and all hail McDowell supremacy, Michael McDowell at plus 25,000. Which I got to race. I got to race against him in iRacing this morning. He spun himself out, so I had to avoid it.
Getting out of his system.
He overused the supremacy.
He's just getting it out of his system.
Just get it out of the system. Yeah,
Just a flesh wound.
It's funny. I thought he got turned, but after looking at the replay, he turned himself. So he was joking about it later. So it's all good. But really quick before we move on, the NWP Fantasy League is still going strong. And also going strong, Trevor Sports 98 now has basically a 100 plus cushion over second place, 48 Nation in the overall league standings. Toyota Tough is third, Jets 48 is fourth, and rounding out the top five is RPG Racing 2. Now for the playoff standings, which are a lot closer, Adam Cub Racing has been very dominant. He is P1, and then Trevor Sports 98, doesn't matter what point system it is, he's still in the mix. He's P2. Larson Fan 5 is P3. Danny B. Wife, aka Claudia, is P4. And running out the top five is Maffrey Motorsport. So,
And I'm going to give myself a shout out because I'm 9th in the playoffs, but I am 8th in the overall.
Yes. And, my mom's in 8th place in the playoff league standing. So, yeah, good for her.
And now we're talking about our points, the NWP pick points. Chat, you guys are still the leader with 537 points. After choosing James Davison, and who'd you pick for the Cup race?
Larson.
And Larson, okay. Eric is now second, minus 19. I gained 23 points. And now I am third, minus 40. And getting close. We're not there, but we're getting close to you guys. Now in fourth, we have Jarrett. He's up off the couch in the basement, but it's not a deep basement at this point. It's more like the first floor, and we're all up on the second floor.
You're at the top of the stairs, and I can see you. You can see Eric across the room, and Eric can see the chat dancing in the yard.
But Darian is like holding Jarrett's hand, scared, and at minus 62 in fifth.
Yeah, it's been a pretty close battle, really, all around for whether it's for fourth or for first place, though. But chat, we almost had the sweep. If Chase Elliott would have won, your points lead would have been way bigger.
But instead, a sign said, "Danny B, you're gonna get a big win."
Yeah, basically. As soon as I saw that sign, I knew it was over. I was like, "Oh no, it's over."
Yep. Now to chat, they don't know what direction to go. Do they hold off Eric or do they hold off me? They don't know where to go now.
Don't play those games, chat. Come on now.
Yeah, no, just keep doing what you're doing. It's worked out so far, chat.
Me and Darian got him right where we want him.
So let's get into this. The Xfinity Series winner, Eric, start us off here.
I know my pick last week, all jokes aside, I knew my pick last week was a risky one. I knew most everyone was going to go AJ Allmendinger. I knew he was going to be tough to beat. I thought James Davison was going to be basically exactly where he was, top 5 on the final restart with a chance to take advantage of some crazy shit. The race basically played out exactly as I thought it would, except I thought Gibbs and Allmendinger might wreck. They did not. They got close, but they did not. So I knew I took a bold risk, but I felt like it needed to be done to try and make up some points. It did not work out. So, live by the sword, die by the sword, something like that. I'm going to go a little safer with both my picks this week. To start with the Xfinity race, I'm going to go Noah Gragson. I believe he finished second here earlier in the spring. And I just think he's better now than he was in the spring. So I'll go Gragson.
That makes sense. He went on a big, long run there, winning for a little bit. And I, too, am going to go with Noah Gragson for this one.
God, it's a repeat of last week. We're all picking the same. I'm going Noah because he has been the guy who's been stronger on the mile and a half as of late compared to Ty Gibbs. So I'm going to go Noah.
Yeah, I was the same pick, Noah Gragson. Yeah, same pick.
It's like he's really emerged as a favorite for the Xfinity Series above Ty Gibbs and Allmendinger, honestly.
I almost picked Josh Berry because he won here a year ago. And he was, I think, 3rd or 4th in the spring.
I thought about it too. He just don't seem like the same Josh Berry.
I love how the chat went completely Ty Gibbs the whole time, and then we picked Gragson, and now they're wanting to pick Gragson.
Yeah, they're going with Gragson on this one.
Yeah,
that
pretty
works.
obvious.
So, who is going to suck in the Cup race, Eric?
Suck pick. I don't know. I don't want to think about that disease that hard. I'll go Ty Gibbs. I don't know. I feel like, does he still only have 1 top 10 on the season in Cup?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still sitting on 1. And I know he's in a tough spot subbing, not working with his normal guys, all that. And he's busy chasing Xfinity championship, but it's just, I don't know. He's lost some of that magic we saw the first couple weeks where we're like, whoa, look at him running 12th, no seat time. Wow. I'll go Gibbs.
I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick on this one. Out of the playoffs now at this point, and just not gonna be a very Tyler Reddick run.
This guy has not historically been good at any point at Las Vegas. There's a reason why he was trying on iRacing this week, and he spun out. It's the start of a bad weekend. I'm going Michael McDowell.
I don't think Noah Gragson has ever ran a next gen race at Las Vegas before, so I'm gonna go with Gragson.
Chat's going Almirola.
Yeah, no, they're getting that out the way, of course. But didn't they pick Kevin LePage to win earlier this year at Vegas? Well, that was this year, right? Or was that last year? Okay,
one of the two. Yeah,
I think that was last year. This year their screw up was picking Almirola at, like, I don't know, Darlington or something.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I guess moving on to the underdog. What do we think?
I usually like to pick a playoff guy for this, but I feel like now you're in the Elite 8. There's really no underdogs left. So I'm actually going to I'll go Eric Jones, especially early this year. He was really great at intermediate tracks, close to winning some of those races. Won at Darlington, which kind of an intermediate. So I'll go Jonesy.
For my underdog, he's driving a car that won here in the spring, and I've got him winning the Xfinity race. I'm gonna go with Noah Gragson be the underdog. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think the 48 is gonna sweep this one, but he could get a top 5 in this one.
My pick has got a couple top 10s here, and I think the chat is wrong. I think this guy might be a sneaky pick for the win if you're daring enough for it. I'm gonna go Eric Almirola.
Yeah, that was my same pick, Eric Almirola. He has these races where, like, he'll come out of nowhere, and he also made his NASCAR debut at Las Vegas back in 2007. So yeah, I'll go with Eric Almirola.
Looking at the chat, they're all over the place. I see a lot of Truexes, 14s, 43s, 45s.
Oh yeah, Eric Jones that's another good one. Yeah.
I'd see they're trying to strategize with it. Who would you guys give them to?
Right now I mostly see Truex, but
yeah, I'm starting to see more Truex.
But I also see some Bubbas. I don't know. I feel like it's safe to give them. They might pick Truex to win though. I don't know if I want to take that off the board for him because he almost won here in the spring.
But they put a ton of 19s in there. I mean,
I've seen a little bit more Bubba personally.
I feel like I've seen about the same amount of Bubbas, and I feel like I'd give them Bubba just because there's a better chance they pick Truex to win. Oh, I don't know. Now I'm seeing a few more Truexes. Give them if you want to give them Truex.
Give him Truex.
Sure.
Might as well.
Take Marty T.
Yeah. And now,
Marty T.
Yep.
Oh,
I never heard that one. That's a new one. All right. And now for the main event. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win at Las Vegas, Eric? Oh my
Denny
God.
Hamlin.
I thought you pulled up like a lottery scratch off. You were at the scratch off lottery. Took it.
Okay, well, no, I'll save it. I don't want to say it yet.
Okay.
Hamlin.
All right, he's going with Hamlin. I am going to go with one of the more consistent guys from the spring. First in practice, second in qualifying, sixth in stage 1, third in stage 2, second in the race to his teammate who is not in this race, unfortunately, Kyle Larson. He's out of the playoffs now. It don't matter, but I think he's going to win this one.
I'm also picking Hamlin. I think he's so far been the guy who led the most laps in the last couple races here, and I think he'll get the win.
I'm gonna go Toyota, but not Denny Hamlin. This guy, he won the pole in the spring race. He was running up front, then had some tire issues. So with a win, I think he'll punch his ticket into the championship 4. David Bell, you're gonna love this. Christopher Bell makes it 2 in a row.
That was my secondary pick because he was right around Bell into practice and qualifying. He actually got the pole for this race in the spring, but as far as the race goes, I felt like the 5 was more consistent in that one.
I'm surprised the chat's actually being pretty fair on this one. They're going 12, 22, and 18 are the one I'm seeing more
I'm
of.
seeing a lot of Logano and 12.
Logano makes sense. Yeah, I mean he's won there a bunch
Well,
of times.
how about we poll him? You know,
Yeah, I'm
Pole?
and
Oh,
this completely eliminates them following me or Eric.
That's good.
So,
And
a
now
lot is riding on this.
I had a bunch of like fun facts about how good Hamlin is that I didn't want to say because I didn't want to accidentally convince the chat to pick the same as me. But Hamlin, I mean, won here a year ago, different rules package, different car, I get it. But he was in position to probably win here in the spring until he missed that shift coming off pit road. So he's good at Las Vegas. And not to mention, he hasn't finished worse than 13th in these playoffs. He's got 5 top 10s the last 6 weeks. He's on a roll. Good track for him.
So
I just didn't want to say that and accidentally get the chat to pick the same as me again.
we're polling 12 and 22, right?
I would have said 18 as well, maybe.
Yeah, put the 18 in too.
Yeah, so 3.
They have a non-Penske option.
For that one person there who's like, I can't stand Penske. All right.
Cool.
All right,
I guess.
all right. Answer me right now. Do you understand me, Cole?
All right. Well, let's get to those final super chats. How about?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. So where did we leave off? Trying to remember.
What? It was the last. It was the Lionel one. The last one you read. It was a perfect segue.
Yeah, yeah, I left off on that one, but I kind of ended before. Let me try to find it here real quick. Oh yeah, we ended on the coleslaw custard birthday one. That's where we ended.
There we go.
Well, real quick before we finish off, just before anyone gets out of here, next week on Wednesday night at 8, we're going to be on Darian's channel.
Last show of the season on my channel for season 5. So let's go out with a banger.
And I might as well bring it up because we talked about season 6. If we don't get canceled, season 6 will be February 1st next year. On my
You're
channel.
getting canceled. I can't stand you.
If YouTube decides to re-up, then yeah, we'll be there.
Okay, moving on.
We'll take the show to Twitch.
Maybe
no.
we can simulcast it.
No,
Hey,
dude,
if the money's good, the check clears.
What
Dude,
what if Facebook offers more?
we would get.
Well, we have to
banned.
consider it.
Knowing
What if
Twitch-
Peacock?
No,
What if we just go into straight and start talking to strangers?
yeah,
I like that idea.
That's a good one.
But knowing Twitch's policies, we'll get banned within 5 minutes. Probably.
Instagram Live.
Oh, Twitter Live. Yeah.
All right, let's get those super chat lives.
Remember
How about that?
Periscope?
Let's go.
I try not to.
Let's go to Rumble.
Let's go to super chats at this
Okay.
point.
Eric
Let's just
Katosi,
start an Xbox Live party.
join me in my PlayStation Network party. All right, moving on. Eric Katosi, appreciate the $2. Eric Estep just uploaded.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, a couple hours ago.
true.
Jake Stewie, appreciate the $4.99. Fans, this is so boring. Nothing is happening. Stuff happens that makes it interesting. Fans, oh my goodness, this is stupid. It's just chaos.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of
that's
lost
fair.
with both. I think both were
That's fair.
extremes. You had really
Yeah.
boring and really messy.
Or really dumb.
Yeah.
Jupiter Rain, appreciate the $2. Jones was on Briscoe outside. That would have been -1.
Oh yeah,
Possible.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
David Bell, appreciate that $10 from earlier. Race was pretty good in my book.
believe it.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
I wonder why.
Makes sense to me.
Hot Piss, appreciate you being a member for 13 months. He said, proof of favoritism, no penalty on number 9 at 2021 Bristol. Again, I think I kind of talked about that earlier of why that's a little bit different scenario there.
It's a little different, but yeah, I don't know.
Different, but same.
It's not really different in the rule book. It's just different how NASCAR is interpreting the rule book, and I don't know.
NASCAR Bowman 48, appreciate the $5 from you. Plain and simple, go back to the point system of 80s through early 2000s and get rid of the win and your in stuff. Let them battle championship by pure points.
But Danny, they might clinch the championship before the final race of the season.
So I missed it. Is Verstappen the F1 champion? Is
Yeah.
that confirmed?
After all that chaos, yeah. Oh, dang it! I keep saying. I'm sorry, Eric. That was
It's okay. It's okay. It's
I'm so used to it.
fine.
Chaos.
I didn't like that. That actually made my spine tingle a little. I didn't like that at all.
He got goosebumps.
Ugh.
All right, moving on. TJ Moorehead, appreciate the $5. Been a playoff hater since they began, but this year feels different.
Yeah, I will say it does feel different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, is he saying he hates it? Like now he's like, hey, I was ahead of the curve, or is he saying he likes it now?
That is the interesting thing to ask.
Because he says it feels different. So I'm gonna assume he still doesn't like the playoffs. That's
What do you mean by that?
I'm going to assume he means the hatred feels different than usual.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. It's just
Hate,
brewing.
the anger joined the dark side.
He is about to become the NASCAR Hulk. He cannot stand it now. He's
Playoff smash.
he's infuriated.
Just as long as you don't become She-Hulk.
She's a successful lawyer.
It's not a successful show.
I've been watching it. I actually kind of like it. So I'm moving on. Hunter Nixon Fishing. Appreciate the $9.99. I agree with the iceberg today. All this would be available if we didn't have this dumb playoff system.
Yeah.
Pandemonium is that better? I see it in the chat. Yeah, that's a little. I like that a little more than chaos, but it'll probably wear out its welcome too at some point.
I know an adverb that would make that sound better. Chaotic pandemonium.
Ah, there you go.
Chaos.
It's it's the way your microphone like echoed when you said that.
Chaos.
Like you like hit this thing and it made a noise. Napa Racing Fan 927, appreciate the $5. Will the Roval get dropped from the schedule in 2024? The Cup ratings went down again. The Roval shouldn't go because of one bad race. I think Oval comes back.
Yeah, potentially. Potentially.
If
yeah.
it's well, I can't say if it's bad next year because we'll know the schedule by the time the Roval even comes out. So it's like how many years do we have to see a bad Roval race before we make that decision? I don't know. It's interesting because it's so late in the season and they make the season way before it ever happened. So I don't know. Trevor Bailey, appreciate the $2. Early prediction, Noah Gragson wins Homestead Cup. I would not be surprised. That's a track that has eluded him in the Xfinity Series for a long time. And Hendrick could definitely make a car good enough to win there. Chris Furrow, 11, appreciate the $10. If this is the end for Kurt Busch, he had an awesome career. He has to be the only driver to win for 5 different manufacturers. I think he meant 4 because he never won a Pontiac. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. But he won with a bunch of different teams. Hey, that 2012 Sonoma race will always be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He didn't win, but he didn't win, but it definitely felt like a win.
Yeah. Bowser Jr. XD, appreciate the $4.99. This season is like a roller coaster. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you get the 40th closest finish ever, then the ride falls apart.
Yep, and then you get a freaking concussion.
I don't want to go on that roller coaster.
I've been on that before. Not fun.
David Bell, appreciate the $5. I believe we may see what we have seen so far become worse and come to a head these next few weeks. Your thoughts on if it does? I mean, if it does, we're just gonna see the same 4 guys complaining that it's getting bad. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I wish I
The
knew
same-
what the same order, David, but I mean, we're just gonna complain about it if it gets bad, I guess.
Mhm.
HOF City Gaming, appreciate the $5. I hope the Volunteers chastain the Tide and wreck their day with an L. I hope so too.
Yeah,
HOF City Gaming.
I agree.
Shorty PJM, appreciate the $5. Are teammates only supposed to work together at plate tracks? If that's their notion, eliminate the label teammates. They're coworkers, nothing more.
Yeah,
That's an interesting
interesting.
thought on it.
interesting.
This is my call. So William Byron says, this is my colleague, Chase Elliott, everybody. Hello. We're here as representatives from Hendrick Motorsports.
I saw, man, I keep citing these like tweets and things I saw, but I don't remember. I can't give credit to them, but it's like, NASCAR hates teammates, working together and stuff, manipulating finish of these races. And the comment was that they literally had a video game come out that was all about this.
Follow
back
team
in-
control. Yeah.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
05. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's not forget the NASCAR movie Talladega Nights that came out around that same time had the ultimate form of owner manipulation, telling his driver to go wreck the entire field because a driver let a rival driver pass.
Classic.
Oak 32 Assassin, appreciate the $10. You can see Eric looking over at the Astros game. LOL.
They're not playing tonight. Wait, they're not.
Tomorrow. No, tomorrow.
They
They're
play
playing
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like 100% sure.
Is it a
Scared me for
3-game
a second.
series? Is it a 3-game series there?
It's a best of 3. It could go
Okay.
5.
All
But it's only going to go 3. We all know. Come on.
Gavin Adcock, appreciate the $5. I got NASCAR Ignition yesterday, played it for 10 minutes, and can confidently say I'm going back to Heat 5. That was a waste of $20.
Why'd you? Yeah. Why?
I thought I heard they patched it a little bit. It's a little bit better now. No, I'm not even joking. I thought I heard it was a little better now.
They patched it.
I know they've been issuing patches and patches and patches. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to just trash it. I genuinely thought. I know they just had their next gen update. I thought there were some other fixes in there, but maybe.
I wish
that's not the
the
truth.
game would have. I wish the game would have succeeded because I think it's important for NASCAR fans to have a good representation of a console game. But unfortunately, it did not. And it seems like every time I see a new patch or update come out, it seems like the game gets worse. And that's all I can say on that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry you wasted $20 there, Gavin. Marky Mark, appreciate the $2. Blaney's really good at Las Vegas. He is pretty good there. He might stand a shot there, but I don't think he's going to win it though. Bowser Jr. XD, appreciate the $1.99. We already talked about this. The 98 hauler was involved in a wreck in Arizona. Need for Speed 5353. Appreciate the $2. How to trigger Eric? Chaos.
Yeah, I do it. Jarrett peaked his mic and it just made me go like this.
Chaos.
No, you got to stop that. You got to stop that. That's not okay. Someone super chat and tell him to stop.
Bowser Jr. XD, appreciate the $1.99. Xfinity finish was the second closest ever at the Roval. Was it really?
I mean, there haven't been that many, so
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
Well, sure. Jake Alcorn, appreciate the $9.99. Oh, we already talked about this one. That was the line off segment. But hey, happy birthday again and enjoy the Bowman win diecast. Andrew Meyer, appreciate the $5. NASCAR upper management is in complete disarray. That's how Andrew sees it. Ever since Daytona this season has nosedived. The TV deal and team negotiations is going to be ugly. It could be.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. Bowser Jr. XD, you've been very generous tonight, so I appreciate the additional $4.99. I never expected 2022 to mimic 2001 with 3 drivers being out due to injury.
Oh yeah, that's
He's
right.
referring, not referring to
Obviously. Yeah. Obviously.
Nemechek, Skinner, and Park. Now we've had Bowman, Bush. Who's the other one?
Cody was wait.
Yeah,
it wasn't Cody
yeah,
Ware,
no,
was it?
No, yeah, it's Cody Ware. It's Cody
Okay,
Ware.
okay.
Yeah, sorry. I remember the other 2 are concussion protocols, and then his is different. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I see what he's saying there. Bowser Jr. XD, appreciate the $4.99. On a more ominous note, the Las Vegas Cup race is on the 11th anniversary. Oh, the 11th anniversary of the 2011 Las Vegas IndyCar race. You can't make this up.
Damn, that's right.
I
Well,
didn't.
yeah,
I
hopefully,
didn't. I didn't even realize that.
well, hopefully, obviously, we don't want a repeat of that. Obviously.
David Bell, appreciate that additional $5 from you, man. 5th pole position this weekend for Christopher Bell. He got the last one in the spring at Vegas. He did. That would be cool if he got another one for you.
They've qualified really well this year.
They have. Just gotta put it together this time. Just put it together.
Here's $5 from Mike Davis. I don't know if that's the Mike Davis, but there's no message. It's just $5. But appreciate that, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, you say that. Just wait till his next one. Yeah. Dustin Pexa, appreciate the $4.99. Eric has been abysmal in podcast picks over the past 4 weeks, while Danny B has made strides to the top. October Madness in playoffs and picks.
Hey, he used the word madness and not chaos. I appreciate that. I don't care that he called me out for sucking at picks the last few weeks. I appreciate you. Dustin, was that who it was? I appreciate you.
Yeah, that was Dustin. Now here's $2 coming in from Mike Davis. Appreciate that, Mike. Eric, you're too tall for long hair. Decent cut.
Yeah, I saw that earlier and was laughing.
I'm wearing a hat just because I'm a crazy fan. I did get my hair cut. It's a little shorter than usual. What do you mean too tall for long hair? I guess because when I brush it up, it adds another inch or so. Maybe is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
You guys, y'all knew me when I used to have it a little curly, a little floofier.
Yeah,
for sure.
You had straight up afro when we first met you.
It was bordering on that for sure. So yeah, those were the days, the infamous days.
Let's see here. Southern Cowboy. Appreciate the $4.99. Howdy, how you doing? To be honest, I'm surprised at the time I didn't see a SpongeBob meme about the 24 car getting 25 points. It's a real missed opportunity. It is. It is. I thought of something funnier than 24.
That's a good point.
Ross Crash Dane. Appreciate the $5.48. Budget caps. What could possibly go wrong? I'm looking at you, Red Bull.
Oh, yeah. I don't know exactly what they exceeded the cap on for that. Some said, the car. Others said literally catering.
Yeah, that's about like them all at fancy dinner. And it's like, this is the moment they realized they went over budget.
There was, they did a video meme. I think it was from, what is the name of the movie? Maybe it's Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. But anyways, they come into an office like, what is this? $266,000?
Wolf, yep. $26,000 for one effing dinner. Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street.
That was a pretty funny one they did. Isaac, appreciate the $1.99. It's the Mickey Briscoe Clubhouse.
Good singing voice.
Alex Viveros, appreciate the $20. Very generous of you. NASCAR needs to use their YouTube channel better. Like thumbnail and their highlights, V8 supercars get more views than Cup highlights, and their championships is about to be wrapped up while we have a gimmick format that's not working.
Hey, F1 and Super V8, they know how to use it. So.
Yeah, some harsh criticism there from Alex. But
I just think it stems, again, they probably get a larger share of younger viewers than NASCAR does. I don't know. I just think the fact that NASCAR routinely 80% of their viewers are older than 50. I'm sorry. Like, I think we suck up most of the young viewers on our YouTube channels.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
not enough left over for NASCAR.
And part of that is that they're younger. We're similar in age. I think a lot of them just can relate better to us talking about this.
I will give NASCAR YouTube's credit. The thing they did with the NASCAR Next, the series.
Yeah, that was good. That was
well
one.
done.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did that.
That was good.
They did a good job with that, and I'm not surprised. I had a decent little series I did for a little bit where I did like the first two class, and those videos performed pretty well. So I wasn't surprised to see them do something like that.
A rare NASCAR YouTube W. There you go.
Tyler Burbeck, appreciate the $2. Chat picks Ross Chastain. No, they do not, Tyler.
Nope. No,
it looks like they're going elsewhere.
They're actually going to go with Ryan Blaney on this one. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll right now.
Wow.
Be careful, Chat. Be careful.
Chat, he hasn't won a race all year.
Yeah, be careful.
This is bold. This is close to as bold as my James Davison pick. I'll give you all that. Give you all that.
If Larson wins, or if who'd you go with?
I had Hamlin.
I had Bell.
If Larson or Hamlin wins, me and Eric are all over you guys.
Yeah.
Blue Jimmy 48 fan, appreciate you. First of all, appreciate you being a mod and helping us out with that part. But appreciate you being a member for 17 months. Not gonna lie, Jarrett saying chaos made my spine tingle. It also did that for Eric too.
It was just, you peeked the mic. It was like, chaos. I don't know how you did it.
You almost didn't know how to say the word.
Sorry.
Bro, I'm so tired, but I'm so fun laughing.
That should be a meme right there. Anytime something crazy happens in NASCAR, just go to Eric doing that clip.
I want someone to clip that "Your Daddy" bit from the first minute of the show.
Trevor Bailey, appreciate the $5. Early prediction, no. Gregson wins Homestead Cup, now being in a 48 car for next 3 races, and also going to Nashville Super Speedway next year. Hey, first of all, have fun at Nashville Super Speedway. I've been to both races at that track now since it's been on the schedule, and I'm happy for it to be here and with us. Also, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Gregson could pull off the win there in the 48 car. Robert Summers, we appreciate that $5. Who will sponsor Kyle Busch next year RCR? At this point, I don't think there's any clue as to what that might be.
I don't know.
Napa Racing Fan 927, appreciate the $2. What are your takes on Tony Stewart's comments? Do we want? This is the last one, so we could end on this.
Hey, I don't. He's not leaving NASCAR though. But I mean, I feel his frustration though. I feel it.
I've been just waiting for him to sound off on all the nonsense his team. I say nonsense. I mean, self-inflicted in some cases. They withdrew their appeal of that Harvick penalty, so I think they did modify the rear deck lid. Whether they're happy they got caught or not, it sounds like that was a legit penalty. So if he's mad about the Custer thing, I get his frustration there for sure.
Yeah, I think that's basically all there is to say to it. One last one because it just come in. JS Sky, appreciate the $5 there from you. Bring back Reed Sorensen, please. Also, I had no idea he was the 77 Cup spotter.
Wait, he is? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I know. Last I had heard, he had he was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But I didn't know that's what he was doing these days.
Okay, is that it, Danny? Is that it for
that is it. Next week we will be on Darian's channel. Darian, anything to say before we leave?
Well, hopefully we don't go like nearly 3 hours this time.
I don't know what to say. I don't know how we could have made it not be 3 hours. So
it was a lot. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about. But yeah, no. Next week, last episode of NWP on my channel. Not last episode of the season. Last episode of the season on my channel. So tune in. We'll have a good time. One more super chat.
And Need for Speed 53. Appreciate the $2. 3 hours, maybe not quite. We are ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
Vroom, vroom, vroom,
Vroom,
vroom, vroom, vroom.
Chaos. I'm going to bed.
Green. Holy moly. Great job! Yeah! This guy. Thank you! Wow! Hell yeah. Woo-hoo! Great job, man!
Now we got a crash. Car spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby! Come on! Oh my god, guys! Yes! Yes! Unbelievable! You guys are the best! Yes! Oh, what a year!